Howdy ho, good neighbors. What's going on? I am pumped, and I am sorry. Sometimes StreamYard glitches when you try to hit the intros. I don't know why, but anyway, really pumped. We're not just launching my newest book, but I also have two writers on. We're going to hang out, discuss writing, whether it's screenplay writing, prose writing, comics writing, talk about that stuff. Anybody wants to join in, talk about your favorite stories, your favorite story arcs, favorite writers, whatever you want to do, join the conversation. Let's have fun. We are going to launch live, though. We are going to talk a little bit about Shaman. I'm not going to beat you over the head with the Kickstarter, though, for an hour. I hope you come out and pledge and support because it's a really good story. I've been told by a lot of beta readers it's quite possibly this and Papa are my best writing to date. And I appreciate that because I'm always trying to get better as a writer, as I'm sure most writers or all writers are. Anyway, I'm going to introduce my guest today. First, he's a writer. He's a podcaster. He's an interviewer. He's a big supporter of the convention scene. He does a lot of stuff in the community. I met him years ago when I was running my conventions, and he's a hell of a guy. He runs his own show. He's part of the Bit and Apple, and he also has his show, The Written Writ. And here is Written Writ, Rafael. What's up?
Well, hello there, Apple Bites. This is Written Writ Ralph talking to you from Phil's show.
And he's also a voice actor with that Barry White thing going on. So, he's done Cold Cutter from Charles W. Morgan.
Oh, right.
He's done some stuff. So you guys ever need that voice, he's hireable.
And he's working on, he's been doing his reveals for the 5th issue.
Yeah.
He's already shown off like 3 covers. I'm like, ooh.
I know. Once he gets me everything, I create his Kickstarter page and we get going. I'm rooting for him. And he'll be joining Philbo at some point. Hey, Brian, what's going on? How are you? Brian, you're welcome to drop any links to anything you have going on, whether it's just your art or acting, or if you have campaigns, feel free. I always welcome it. Anyway, our next guest is an independent filmmaker, a comic book creator. He's very talented dude. This guy does these stop motion movies that just baffle me how he has the patience to do them, and they come out so well. He's a really talented dude. And in my opinion, has, if not one of the best independent book out there that you might not have known about, which is a freaking crime in my opinion. And it's Rabbit's Badass Song, and his name you see him as Elston Christopher on Facebook, but it is Christopher Elston. What's up,
everybody?
So, Elston, Christopher, I'm used to you seeing Elston.
Chris.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem, man.
Appreciate you guys. We're going to talk Shaman. We're going to launch, and in between, we're going to talk about writing and different things. You know, Chris obviously can do screenplay writing and as well as comic book writing, etc. So let's start, though. Ralph, just tell us who you are and what you're doing.
I am Written Writ Ralph. I am the main guy right now. I've been in Apple TV because my partners are both busy at the moment doing life things because life happens. And I do a writing show called The Written Writ, and we do Bit and Apple TV, which is what we do. We cover the conventions. We cover everything that's out there. We love to cover the indies. We like to talk to everybody. We like to show people what Kickstarters are happening. We do it all. It's all geekery all the time.
Awesome. And you got your shows Monday and Wednesdays, right?
Yep. Mondays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time for Apple Bites, and Wednesday of The Written Writ at 10:30 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. Chris, what do you got?
Chris Elston. You actually met Phil through doing a comic book I did a few years ago called Rabbit's Badass Song. My fiance and I, we did a few comic books. We did a little short called Pop Singer, and we did Rabbit, and we're some phenomenal artists. And the book did okay. No, I wasn't breaking the bank or anything with Facebook. I mean, with the Kickstarters and stuff. You know, it was what it was. But I got to the point where I could get back to doing the movie thing, and I saw a little bit more of an opportunity to expand upon that. So these last few years, I've just been working on shorts and working on our first feature, which is pretty much done. We did a decent Kickstarter and Indiegogo for it, and we're hoping to have it released by the end of this year. And I've already started pre-production / production on my next project.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited. If you like horror, guys, with practical effects, check it out. You know, when it's out, it's going to be packaged and everything, and maybe you can get your copy from Chris. Very cool. Very funny. I'm glad that I got this song and not say enough about the book. I really enjoyed that book. It is very rare that, um, with no disrespect to anyone, but it's very rare that when an issue of something comes out these days that I'm excited to grab it. And I felt that way about Rabbit's Baddest Song. It was just,
Thanks, man.
yeah, it hit on all the notes. And I hope to see it continue, especially since I kind of know, and I won't say anything, where the story goes. And it's just balls to the walls bonkers. It's just good. It's
Yeah.
so good. And just based on the origin story that's starting, it's really good. Never mind if you get to go where you want to go with it. So, um, if you still have copies, and I don't know if Chris still does, but if you're interested, it's really a good book. Rabbit's Baddest Song. Reach out to Chris and snag a
Thanks.
copy.
It's,
Chris, how long ago was that?
oh God, it's been like what 3 years now, right, Phil? About going
Was
on
it
2 to 3 years.
Dude,
Yeah.
I remember seeing Phil and you do a show when you guys had the
Yeah.
Kickstarter going, and you came on my show to talk about it as well.
Right, right.
And I was like, no, that was just like 2 years ago. That was just like a year ago. No, that wasn't that long ago.
I don't know, it feels like I can't remember anymore.
Dude, we just shouted you out, Charles. We were just shouting you
Hey,
out.
Charles. But it is. We might come back to it eventually. I mean, I still got all the story there. It's one of those books. I think looking back at it now, I just feel it's one of those things. It needed to be more in a store type setting because the stores we got it in actually sold pretty well. I just don't think it was really built for like a Kickstarter audience. Never tried Indiegogo, but
You
again,
need
like
good distribution.
that too. But another thing, it's just so damn expensive making a thing. It was cheaper for me to make an independent film than was to print that book. I was being honest with you.
Wow.
So yeah, and that half of that had to be because like I know I could do a lot of stuff myself and just the people I knew, but
Right.
making comics is a little that's a beast. As far as just keeping it going because it
Chris,
costs money.
I wish
Agreed.
I could say, no, you're kidding. But I've done some indie films, and I've done it for cheaper than I am trying to get my book out. So
Yeah, I mean, because like not getting off subject, but if you do the math, like your average comic book, if you got to pay for everything, commission arts and all that stuff, you're looking at about $45,000. I could,
Right.
but that's something. But if it's an ongoing series, you got to produce it every single time. So you're talking like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Whereas with a movie, like $5,000 to $10,000, it may be a small thing, but you can get a profit off of it.
Exactly.
And just do the next thing. So there's a difference with it.
So, segueing into comics, my latest book, Shaman, is out. I just launched the campaign live, so you can pledge now, and I ask you to please. Now, you may say, well, what the hell is Shaman? Well, I will tell you. But first, we're going to play the trailer, and then we're going to talk about it. Yeah, Charles, you read it, right? You were one of the readers? Awesome. All right, here we go. So, just so you
Cool.
know, Ruli Akbar is the interior penciler slash inker, and he does a wonderful job of facial expressions. And I have to say, I think a lot of times artists don't know how to draw black people very well for some reason. They just, you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? And he did a good job because I wanted an artist that can do uh, justice and respect to a black man, an actual black man. You know what I mean? Not just putting on the color of brown skin, but actually the features of a black man. So you can relate to him as a black man. Anyway, And then the colors by Fabio de Silva Bandres. Phenomenal letters by George. Um, what the hell is his last? Medina. There you go. Written by me. Great logo by Rob Powers. Thank you.
That's
Rob.
terrible, ain't it?
I figured you were gonna figure somebody
dude,
out.
I'm tired.
Medina.
You have no idea what I'm. I'm tired. You have no idea how much I'm working right now. Anyway, so this, just like Papa, was originally a graphic novel, but unfortunately, it, like touching on Christopher, it's very expensive to do a 110-page book. I mean, it's $15,000. You know, so you know, for quality artists, etc. So we're releasing it chapter by chapter. The reason why I want it in the graphic novel format is because of the pacing of the story. You know, the first chapters are setups, basically. So I was concerned if people would be like, oh, this is boring. Because it's exposition, you know, for the most part. But with the chapter 2s, these books, both this and Papa, just go flying. At the end of Papa's chapter 1, there's a big, shocking surprise. Shaman doesn't have that quite shocking surprise, but it does tell you, oh crap, it's about to hit the fan. So, Samuel Boone is a 24-year-old kid, son of a Baptist minister in Alabama, as it said, and he's a very powerful telekinetic and telepathic person. So when he's healing people, like a diabetic, he's pulling the sugar molecules out of the bloodstream, the excess sugar through the pores, and then he's telepathically changing. And telekinetically changing your pancreas to create insulin. If you're a drug addict, he's telepathically changing your mind to not be codependent while he's pulling the drugs out of your system. And he's really saving and helping a lot of people. And his father's putting a lot of pressure on him to be a man of God and to heal and everything, because his father, kind of like those football dads, is living vicariously through him because his father can't do it. And he's this passionate, God-loving man. He pushes his son pretty hard. Samuel is just a young guy trying to find out who he is. So here comes the pharmaceutical company losing a ton of money. So they reach out to the Mexican cartel because they're using fentanyl and OxyContin and all these other things, you know, obviously that the Mexican cartel can use for drug addiction and drugs. And they say, look, we got this problem. We need it taken care of quietly and we can't be attached to it. So the hitmen come after Samuel. And Samuel goes on the run across the country. And the thing about this tale that, and a lot of people have said is good, is you think powerful telepath, telekinetic, he can just wipe them off the floor. He's a 24-year-old kid who has never faced violence, never used his abilities for violence, and he's in a strange world on the run, scared. And he's got professional killers coming after him, you know? And just so you know, a little spoiler, they do get him with a tranquilizer dart that he pulls out, but it kind of it lessens his abilities while he's on the run. And they have a tracker on him, so they keep finding him. And he's just trying to survive and get out of there. And it's really great adventure, but it's also very heartfelt. There's a scene later on with a homeless person that my wife said was very, very touching. And then a Japanese-American man who served in World War II for the country. And it just, you know, I think diversity is wonderful in comics when it's what the story demands. It's not forced, it's not pushed, it's not the selling point, right? He happens to be a young black man because it made sense to be the son of a Baptist minister in Alabama and be black, you know? And I was happy to be able to use other races in my book and characters based on the importance of the story first and foremost, and for that reason. So it's an action-adventure tale with a lot of heart, which is basically what I write and everything, and a character that you're really rooting for because he's just a scared kid and he's questioning God. Why me? Why did you give me all this power? Why is this responsibility on my shoulders? And why am I going through this? I just want to live. I want to go home. I want to go home to my mom and dad, and I want to live a normal life. And, you know, why is this calling on me? So it's really heartfelt. Ruli Akbar did the first cover with covers by Fabio. And I really love this. I came up with the concept. I asked him to do this, and he did a wonderful job. because these people in the ministry, they're looking up to him like God. I mean, they're really putting this kid on a pedestal because he's healing everybody. And it's a really large weight to take on as a as any person, never mind a young person. Um, and then we got Keith Williams on the cover. You all know Keith Williams, famous inker of with John Byrne on, and he did She-Hulk, and he did Warlock, and he did Web of Spider-Man. So Keith, I call him the mayor because he's at every show, waving and kissing babies and on the campaign trail.
That man is
Um,
loved. Keith Williams is loved.
yeah, I was
Oh
gonna
yeah.
ask him to be on tonight, but he had a meeting he had to do, so he couldn't make it. But anyway, so Keith did a cover, which is really cool. It's healing. So we got two covers. This is how the book opens up. It starts with him wounded like this, and then it goes back and tells you everything that happened that led to this scene. Um, you can read to see how I write if you like what I'm writing, and get a gist of the characters and everything. And again, Ruli did a wonderful job on facial expressions. Like, look at him smiling with the woman here. He's curing her of diabetes, and he really does a wonderful job with facial expressions and emoting um, expressions. Here's the evil pharmaceutical company. And just so you know, this isn't any preachy political thing about the medical industry of pharmaceuticals. It's just a backdrop for the antagonists to have a reason to come after Samuel. That's all. There's no major political points in here. One way or the other. It's just a story for what it is. Again, look, Samuel's laying there. He's contemplating God. I don't want to sound ungrateful, but sometimes it's too heavy to bear. And the mom comes in and talks to him. See, wonderful expressions.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
We got an $8 digital copy. We're offering a newsprint edition. I'm now doing that on my campaigns. I think it's really cool. It's retro. The printer I have does wonderful newsprint. And for all you old school guys, I think it's an awesome option. And I'm excited to get that out for Papa as well.
So
We have the
let me
physical
ask you this,
copy.
Joe, before you continue. What's the difference between the newsprint and the physical?
All right, so newsprint is actually on like a newspaper printed paper,
Like
and
it used to be.
yeah, right, and they use plates as
Huh.
opposed to digital. Everything is just this glossy digital that is printed out off of a digital image. Um, and I love the glossy digital, but I also love newsprint, and I think it's a great option. If you want both, there's an opportunity to get both. But you got the newsprint copy, you've got the digital physical copy, the Keith Williams copy. I didn't charge more for the Keith Williams variant. I just want people to read my stories because I really am confident that if you read them, you'll enjoy them, and you'll come back. Um, so the money comes eventually if you build a fan base. We have a sketch cover. Again, I really love this logo that Rob did for me. Rob is a wonderful logo designer. You should
Oh,
all hire
definitely.
him. And he does this. I mean, dude, he always gets it with one or two, maybe a second revision, one revision. That's it. We got the newsprint duo if you want Papa and Shaman in newsprint. And I want to reassure everybody, anybody who knows me knows that you will get your books. Papa is still being produced because I couldn't afford to get Papa done. Shaman is costing me less to produce, so the book is done. Shaman is done. Papa, unfortunately, was more expensive with the artist, so I couldn't afford to get it done. So that's being drawn right now by Alex Sarabia. It'll be in your hands soon. But you have my word. If you back Shaman, your Papa will come. Papa will come, and then Shaman will come. And it's funny, people didn't know how to spell Papa. They think it's P-A-P-A. But that's a cultural thing. But the actual way to spell Papa, if you look in the dictionary, is P-O-P-P-A. Um, People were confused by it for some reason. We got the triple threat. If you want all three covers, we discounted the price. So you can get the Ruli Akbar main cover, the Keith Williams cover, or the sketch cover. We got a newsprint pack. 5 of my books in newsprint.
Nice.
Arcane Syndicate has been really enjoyed. I got some great feedbacks. I've had people tell me it's like they're excited for this series. and it's the most fun they had in a comic in a while. It was very flattering. I'm very humbled. Dynamics is a great family book. Papa is a great family book. Withered is a little more adult. It's supernatural fantasy. Arcane is honestly family book. It's fine. And Shaman is family book. So this is a great pack, newsprint pack of books, $10 each. You can sit down, have a good time reading some Philbo books. Maybe get your kids into reading. $60 is an all in. With the Shaman, all three covers, Papa Dynamics, because it's a family pack, basically, for family books. Add-ons, we've got Papa, the individual digital. We've got the Dynamics. We've got Withered. We've got Arcane Syndicate. And then there's the team. We kept it pretty simple. We don't want you confused or overwhelmed. If you get overwhelmed with Kickstarter, just reach out to me. I'll help you. Not a problem. If you are not interested but you like to support, you can make a pledge here, obviously, of any donation. We take thousands, no problem. Anyway, and that's pretty much the campaign. It's really, I'm very proud of this story. I'm very proud of the Papa story. I think Papa, we made just under 3,000. Thank you to that first backer. I think I marketed Papa wrong because of my sentimental attachment to it. And I think people thought it was this really heavy-handed story. Papa is a fun Silver Age superhero, so to speak, story. It's a hero story. And Shaman is as well. And I think, everybody tells me they read the scripts. They could see it as a streamed, TV show. So I'm just asking, give it a shot. You got the $10 newsprint. It's a $10 book, and you can do the $8 digital. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to, and just give it a sample. I think you really like it. The book is already made. It's already done. So if you guys would be willing to pledge, I would be very grateful.
And I've read, whoever's watching this, I've read most of Phil's stuff. I've not read Papa yet. I did start reading the Arcane Syndicate. And Withered, aside from Tragedy, those are probably two of my favorite things you've done. I just like the darker stuff anyway. I'm gonna get to Papa, but I can tell everybody that Phil, he gives you quality books. It's good art and it's a good story. You get what you definitely get your bang for your buck with them.
And I've read Papa, and I can tell you that it's a great Silver Age type comic book that you guys should really pick up. If you love all that fun stuff from that time period, you're going to love this book. It has all that beautiful stuff in it. I'm trying to say all the stuff without ruining it, but since Phil said, superhero, I'll say superhero.
Issue 2 will be easier to market because, spoilers will be out.
Exactly.
The end of issue 1 is nobody saw the twist coming. It shocked the hell out of them. It was great. And I love to do that. So, speaking of which, we're going to talk about writing, right? I've been told that I'm really great at cliffhangers, leaving people wanting the next book because something happens. And even my horror book, Diary of Dread, people didn't see the twists and turns that were coming. And I'm not saying that. I'm not bragging about that. I'm saying that's what people are telling me, and I'm very grateful and humble about that. And I'm glad. What are your thoughts on? And we'll start with Chris. What are your thoughts on using twists? Kind of like M. Night Shyamalan and stuff in stories. And where do you think, are they good to throw at the end, in the middle? How would you rate them as far as storytelling tools?
Well, just for me personally, I think they're good. Especially towards the end, we do a build up, and then the end's it's like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming at all. That's really good. And just talking over people, whether it be reading comics or movies, a lot of people like twist. That's just what a lot of people come to expect twist in movies now, and comic books. And if it's sometimes if you do a straightforward story, you get a little disappointed because there wasn't a twist in it. But overall, I like twists, especially the mystery stuff. Super Watchmen, right? Watchmen was a good example of that. That had a lot of twist in it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Turn around and Watchmen with a twist.
Exactly. And
but what makes a twist work, and what makes a twist fail?
Ooh.
What makes it work is the setup. It's the character you follow. what makes it where it fails when we don't deliver.
Yeah.
When it's like, usually like it's predictable, right? So you see them, I saw that coming a mile away. Yeah, that's usually, just poor execution. But usually, if it's set up and the character, and especially the character, if it's a character you follow, along the journey, that helps out too, because you invested in the character, and whether the character turns out to be something totally opposite, or you see their tragedy through your point of view, that works pretty good. So,
what are your thoughts, Ralph?
I gotta say, like Thunderbolts. If we're gonna go back to the original,
Thunderbolts.
That's a twist. That's you sit there, you read the whole comic book, you get to the end of it. You don't even. I don't feel like at all in the book you even get a little of foreshadowing. You just oh my god, these guys are villains,
right?
Spoilers in case, but you should have read this ages ago.
Exactly. Hey, one of the greatest twists of all time was Star Wars. We found out Vader was Luke's dad.
Oh my god.
I actually just came across a video of that someone, I don't know how they got it, but it was the actual audience response back in 1981 during Empire. They had the handheld camcorders.
Yeah.
And everybody was in shock. They were like, "Oh, it was great."
That was a big one. Sixth Sense, that had a great twist in it. See, at least Sixth Sense, though, if you're paying attention, you can see it coming.
Yeah,
but he throws signs in there. Yeah,
and that's why that works even better, because he does it in layers. You go back and watch it again, so that it still was like his best movie. That was the greatest thing. Like you go back, when you go back, you can see how many times he's telling you what's happening, but you're not picking it up. Exactly. I'm trying to think of Seven. Seven had a great twist in it. Back to comic book. What's in the book? Yeah. I thought the Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing was pretty cool. How when he found out that he wasn't a man after all, he was a plant. I thought that was kind of wild. That was a wild, kind of a twist.
I didn't read that. I always heard it was a great series. I just wasn't a big Swamp Thing guy. And Alan
Oh, you never read it? Oh, dude, that was a great story, man. Like that's one of the best.
I hear that. Sorry, distribution stuff.
Oh, you're good. Busy guy.
I gotta ask you, Chris, because there's this big thing, and a lot of people always say that, and there's this thing where people go, well, if you know screenwriting, script writing for comics. But I know, that's not the same thing. They're similar, right? But it's not the same thing. What do you think?
That's a difference. Well, first of all, I know with screenplays, there's an actual format you have to follow to do it. Whereas comics, there's not really a format as much as just breaking down the panels and the pages.
Exactly.
And and again, like there's just you would think. The way I look at it, you would think that with a comic book you would have more freedom and you could do a lot more than a film, but it's kind of not as true, because in a film, like you could do a whole like 10-minute or like not 10 minute, like 2 to 3 minute action sequence, but in a comic you may only have like 2 or 3 pages, if even that, to do it. That's why you got to do like splash pages and all. Saying there's a lot more that goes into it, even with the dialogue. You can't. I know a lot of people want to write these big, long monologues with the characters, but we break down the layout of a page, it's not going to fit on the panel. So then you got to think about design elements too. Versus a film, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. But the same token, you could do a big space battle in the comic book, but you don't really have to budget it in the film. So those are like the big.
Does Bowie want to sit with you?
Now he's just being. He woke up, so he can't come here. I got too much stuff in here to get into right now. But no, I mean, like I said, they're both. But I respect both mediums. I hate when people think like that comic books are beneath them and movies. I mean, that's not true. Comic books is a good art form too, but there is a difference though. And there's been a lot of people who tried to go from screenplay right to comics that couldn't do it. No.
Right.
We know we've seen a few of those. So yeah,
Yeah. One of the things that I come across is, with prospective comic book writers, and they sit there and then you read it and I'm like, this is a script, and I'm like, no, it's this is a screenplay. No, this is a script for the comic now. There is way too much dialogue. There's way too much stuff that needs to be said. hope if you get the right artist, maybe that transition will happen. Then you
Right.
still have to figure out what you're going to get rid of, what you don't need, what you need to say, because the whole thing is to put it in the comic so you don't have to say anything. If
Exactly.
you and the artist are doing the right job, then you're going to use less words in order to explain things, in order to do. Sometimes you don't even need certain dialogue because
Right.
you can put it in the panels itself.
Agreed.
I
I
agree.
look at you like
And
this, you look at me like that, and you get all that without having to have all the words in there as well. And I feel like that. I don't think people understand the limited amount of space that you have in a comic book.
and that's
I
And they
agree.
look at it like you are doing a movie, which is all this space because you can do all this stuff. You can drop things, but you're using all this, and in a
right.
comic book you're using this.
I
And
totally
just
agree.
just the other thing is, I think something that really hinders a lot of, not a lot, but some of the indie writers is they don't trust the art to help tell the story, and they narrate too much. They narrate every little thing, and I think that's, you unintentionally talk down to your audience, and it becomes tedious. Like, I always use this example. I was editing a book a couple of years ago, and the protagonist was a female, and she was tied up on a dock, and she goes, and the dialogue says, and it wasn't even a thought bubble, it was saying it, good thing, what did she say, good thing they didn't find this knife I had stashed in my boot, because then I could cut myself free. And I told him, I said, what are you doing? I said, listen, all you have to do is let the art show that, and just say, idiots missed this, or
Yeah,
what did Stevie Wonder check me? You know what I mean? Something like that. Something
Right.
simple, and between that and the visual, they understand. Okay?
I, I'm gonna add to it another thing with a lot of like writers, like a lot of new writers who want to write comics. I think you have to read books and watch movies too. You can't just read comics and expect to be a good
Sure.
writer because
hmm
there's certain things you got to take into consideration as far as just story structure. But the thing about
Ooh, he froze.
Oh man, he went down.
He was like in a good place.
I know. And by the way, his volume is way up.
That's that good system he has, man.
Yeah, I know. Chris, you there? Wow.
He was saying a good thing though.
I
You
know.
you really need. I feel like artists just don't. Writers, especially when they're writing comics, they don't really get to that point where they have that trust completely in their artists, and it's just amazing to me because I gotta say the biggest thing that I found out when I was younger was that the relationship between the artist and the writer is huge. If you don't have a good relationship between them,
Right.
your book is going to suffer.
Absolutely. That's why I never liked that argument about who's more important. I think they're both equally important. I think
Yeah,
if you want to have success, they both have to be on the ball and together. Now, do I acknowledge that art is what attracts you to a comic book, and it
yeah,
is a visual medium? Yes, absolutely. But it's been proven time again that a beautifully drawn book with terrible writing isn't going to continue. And just as a well written book with terrible art is not going to continue either.
I agree.
Now, I do think a book has a better chance of having great art and bad writing to survive a little longer, because at least
Yeah,
they enjoy the art. But
hmm
even then, people are going to fall off eventually. The art
yeah.
brings them in,
You'll get
the
a couple
writing
of
keeps
issues,
them.
and then you'll be like, okay, I'm done with this. I've done that.
And the other thing that, and I was guilty of this, I'm not going to lie, with Ricardo in the first book, especially, and he was very patient with me. Um, we tend to write comics like a prose sometimes. Like, you're
Yeah,
putting
hmm
too many actions in one
that's the other
panel,
thing.
and that's impossible. You're taking snapshots in time. Each panel is a snapshot in time that needs to be cohesive, of course, to tell a story. But sometimes us writers, we put too much in one panel, and the artist is like, "What the hell did you expect me to do?"
But you know what it is when you're
Christopher's
writing prose, you're painting a picture. But when you're doing a comic book, you have the artist to paint that picture for you. So you got to start balancing it out. You're like, what can the artist show without me having to use words to show it? And that's
Right.
why I love the GI Joe issue that's silent, because it tells that beautiful story, and I feel like that's harder to write than actually a regular book with words in it, because you're working with the artist to get this out there and get it done without having the words in the way.
Right, and for the artist, they really have to understand body positioning, proportions, facial
Hmm.
expressions, and when you have Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, facial expressions are not telling a story.
No.
So yeah, you really got to be on the ball. He's
Sorry,
back.
my he's messing up
Uh-oh.
tonight. I don't know what's going on.
It's all right, but
It's the
God,
Gremlins.
you keep freezing a little bit, and your audio is really loud. But
Oh, it's real loud.
finish,
Hold on a second.
yeah, and then finish your point.
The volume, let me audio down a little bit. How do I do
Oh, there you
that?
go. Better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still loud.
The hell?
We have a lot of white
Uh,
noise in the background of you too.
that's probably my AC blowing. I'm trying to.
Oh,
How
it's
do you turn?
okay. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay,
No, don't
but
worry about it.
I can't
It's not
remember.
terrible.
Okay, so hopefully it doesn't go out again. But I don't know what's going. I don't know if they're doing something or the storm is messing things up. I'm not sure what the heck's going on. But where did I end it? I can't remember.
Where were
We
you?
started. Yeah, we started other topics after you left, so I'm not quite remembering. But we were talking about what the
Oh,
heck
the
was
comic
that?
book versus screenplay,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was just saying that, like, another thing is you got to have an understanding of how the visual medium of a comic book, how a page is laid out, how it moves around. That you have to take that into consideration when writing as well.
Yeah, you do.
You
Now we
know,
were talking about the fact that as writers, what we do is, because we're used to showing it with our writing. We're used to
right?
painting the picture with our writing. So sometimes we'll give the artist all this prose, and the artist is like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Too much in one panel.
Exactly. Well,
Now, go ahead.
no. So with me, I do have an art background, so I always I can lay out when we do our writing. I'll lay out the page and kind of like set it up there and see how it fits, and then I can send along my thumbnails with the script. We send it to the artist, and it works out pretty good.
So wait, you sent thumbnails to the artist?
Yeah, I would write up the script, then I would have the thumbnails go along with the script and send it to them so they can have
Oh, I can't draw, so that doesn't work.
I mean you can do stick figures too. I mean, most artists they'll get it.
I do my thumbnails with the stick figures.
Yeah, I mean they got apps now where you can like do like little not AI stuff, but they got little apps you can like pre-made characters you can kind of do
Right.
too. So yeah.
By the way, Chris, Ryan Hermison is a really great movie buff, and he has
Yes.
a great live show and stuff.
Awesome.
I don't know if he'd be interested, being that you're an independent filmmaker and you've got your film. Maybe you guys can hook up and you can get on Ryan's show and talk movies.
Yeah, sure thing.
You guys would probably have a blast and
Oh,
promote
definitely.
your movie.
Yeah, he's on Facebook. He hit me up. Just we can make it happen.
Sorry, my web designer for the distribution page is messaging me. We're wrapping things up. We're onboarding the rest of the people by tomorrow. I think we might have everything going, except Zenoscope. I spoke to them yesterday. They're sending me their stuff. I might not get it till Friday. Marat sent me his stuff today. Finally, we got that. Just like rumor going around. That's not even true. Anyway, quiet. And then we have like 3 or 4 other people that are probably going to come on last minute, like literally 5 days before we launch the catalog. But we've got some good people coming on board. We've got Mike Barron, who wrote The Flash and Punisher, and he does Nexus. He created Nexus and the Badger. Mike Barron, with the company that he's with now, they'll be coming on board.
Nice.
We're going to start with Florida Man and the Thin Blue Line, and then Nexus will be coming later. And then there are 3 other well-known and established. 2 are publishing companies. One is a creator that I can't mention yet, but they're most likely on board. So we're excited. And sorry, I went off on a ramble there, but we'll talk about the distribution more later.
You can see Ryan going, Ralph can vouch for me too. Yeah, I was vouching for you, bro.
All right, but who's going to vouch for Ralph?
Nobody vouches for Ralph.
So let me ask you, when you were writing your comic book, was it a hard transition for you, being that you were writing screenplays prior to that, or was it easy?
Me?
Yeah.
No, because I did both. I mean, you grow as a kid. I wrote comics and I did. I play around the movie stuff. So it's kind of, it just made sense to me. I mean, as I got older and started doing more research, I understood like, how the structure and the standards you have to do as far as writing the screenplays. But no, it wasn't too bad.
All right. And Ralph, how's Hugbert coming along, man?
There's been a lot of ups and downs and sideways and forwards, and we're gonna see what happens. The funny thing is that they never tell you about the turmoil that happens when you're making a comic book. All the
Oh
behind
yeah.
the scenes stuff that kind of throws wrenches into the works, or sets you back. And people are like, oh yeah, a comic book, it just happens like that. No, no, it
No.
doesn't just happen like that. Right
Well,
now,
what's funny is, sorry,
mhm.
go ahead,
I was gonna
finish
say
it.
right now, I'm going from artist to artist, so we'll see what happens.
I have to say, I am very fortunate for the most part to work with great artists that are trustworthy and reliable and on time. And I know artists have their share of shyster publishers and writers and stuff, and they have their
Mhm.
story, their horror stories to tell. So this is not to diminish that, but nobody ever talks about the horror stories with artists. Taking on, they take your project and then all of a sudden they're taking on two other projects because they want to make sure there's no gap in making money, which I get. But now all of a sudden your pages aren't coming in time. You're put to the sideline because they're trying to juggle too much,
Right.
and sometimes that gets a little frustrating. But I'm very fortunate that I work with great artists, and I've been fine with that. And the one or two times that happened, I'm very easy to work with until you do that. And like if I wasn't the one you started with first, then I have to deal with it, right? If you told me I'm on another project, then fine. If I hire you, it's based on my understanding of what your schedule is. But if you start with me and then you pick up other work and all of a sudden you're slacking off and you're falling behind, I'm not very patient with that, and I will make that clear from the start. And I've fired someone with 5 pages left in a book because they were 2 weeks past the deadline and they weren't going to be done with the 5 pages for another 2 weeks. And I can't do that. I'm sorry. I have a schedule to keep, and I understand that people think you're indie and what's the big deal? It's crowdfunding. It is a big deal because you can only do a certain amount of crowdfunds a year.
Yeah,
You can only you've
limited.
got time frames. You
Hmm.
miss windows, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Especially when you have as many campaigns as I'm doing. So I mean, right now I have Vanilla Land going on right now as I'm launching Shaman on the other campaign page for Philbo. So, which by the way, if you all love Western style full color manga that looks like an anime popped off the page, go check out Vanilla Land. It's really a lot of fun. It's just like every other manga. It's got an outrageous story that you think that's weird and crazy, but it works. And it's a fun fantasy action adventure by Andrew Henry. It's live right now, and I would ask you guys to go back it. We're I think 56% or 58% funded. So can you get us funded? That'd be great. Shaman right now is at $142. I didn't really promote Shaman a lot. To my dismay, we only had like 18 signups. I didn't really push it. I've just been so busy. Distribution's been it's a large undertaking. I'm not making a lemonade stand on my lawn. So unfortunately that kind of hurt Shaman. So hopefully, like, people scouring Kickstarter will catch on, and maybe we'll get as we go. Um, but I don't. I try to be a humble individual, because I really am. I mean, I don't think I'm something great or I'm more important than anybody. I'm just a schmuck trying to get through life as everybody else. But I am proud of my writing, and I do think I'm a good writer. I think I write excellent dialogue that's real, and I think I write characters that are relatable, that you can root for, and that you're vested in. Um, but you won't know that unless you go back a book. So I would ask you to please give Shaman a shot, maybe Papa, maybe buy them both. I've been told, like I said, to this day, they're my best writing, um, and that's from people that have loved everything I've written. So hope you come on board. Anyway, back to writing. Ralph, what do you think is the most egregious writing error when you're writing a story?
Hmm. Not writing the story. Because a
That's a
lot of
good.
people,
That's actually a great answer. But
yeah.
if you are writing something, what's the biggest mistake you can make? But that is a great answer, actually.
Well, I'm gonna add on to it. It's the biggest mistake because what ends up happening is that you get into your own head, and then all of a sudden you don't write the story that you should be writing in the first place. So there's the big mistake because now you got this story that you want to write, but you're so worried, so scared that you're gonna do it wrong that you don't do it at all, and then
Mhm.
you don't do it. So you don't get anywhere, you don't go anywhere, and the only way to know if you're gonna do this right is actually to write the story in the first place to see what you're doing wrong.
Right.
I
And it's a
agree with
good
that.
thing. That's the good thing is nobody has to see the story. You could just keep working on it until you feel confident. Yeah. So, what would you say, Chris, is an egregious mistake when writing a story?
Well, he pretty much nailed it with what he said. It's hard to say, man, because it just varies. I guess having because again, you can have a story and not know the ending. That could be part of the journey is getting to the ending. But I think you need to have some kind of structure to it. That's why
Yeah.
outlines work. You need to know at least have a theme. If it's something simple, I want to make a story about good versus evil. It's something and kind of go from there. It can't just be this guy looks cool. He's going to just kill a bunch of guys in the issue. I mean, that's not really going to do anything. So I would say have some kind of have a plan laid
Yeah.
out.
Hmm.
So
For me, I think at the core of it all is if nobody gives a shit about the character, then we don't care about the consequences, the stakes. The stakes don't matter. It's
right,
a domino effect. If we didn't care about Luke, we don't care that his arm got cut, his arm, chopped off. We don't care if he becomes a Jedi or saves the universe. We don't care about his pain that Vader is actually his father. You don't care. So the first thing is you have to have a protagonist that people care about.
Yeah.
Period. Whoever they are, whether it's the lovable rogue Han Solo or the innocent farm boy, even though he's a little whiny in the beginning, or like even like for example, Ripley in Alien. She was a flawed, regular human. She was strong, she was intelligent, she kept her cool, but she wasn't perfect, and she was just as scared as everybody else. And at that last scene when she's in there and she realizes, oh shit, this thing is here with me, you cared. You're like, how is she gonna get out
exactly.
of this? The freaking thing is right there. So the stakes were high and you cared about her. Another example, when you have supporting characters like Tom Skerritt, you liked Tom Skerritt. So when he got it in that shaft, you were upset. You know,
Oh,
it
definitely.
all starts with relatable characters, people that you can root for and give a shit about. I mean, Rocky. I mean, hello,
Yeah, the
Rocky.
underdog. Right.
Yeah. Who can't relate to a guy that said, I'm not here to win. I just want to know that I can take the best from the best and still be standing when that bell rings.
And, I think that's why Godzilla minus one did so well because that's probably in a long time like one of the, as far as a Godzilla film goes, had an actual strong story to it. Because originally
Characters
about
you cared about.
yeah, the main guy, it was his story, and it like Godzilla's kind of like just the force of nature behind that. But yeah. I mean, I'm a hero's journey guy. I love the hero's journey
Same
storylines. I
here.
mean,
Me too.
yeah, they're I'm not consider it easy, but it's a very simple concept, and you can just add and add to it and have layers to it. So
It's the same thing. Well, Star Wars, he wrote it on the hero's journey as well, which is why
exactly.
the original Star Wars does so well.
Exactly. I mean, pretty much all like the really great movies, like that John Wick, for example. I mean, that was that was a hero journey. It was a revenge movie, but it was cool because it was about a dog. That was original. That was unique. Again, we've seen the idea a million times. Guy gets revenge, but I haven't seen it like that. That's why another thing with writers, and this is myself included. For a long time, I was younger. I was so fixed on trying to make something so original, but it's impossible. 'Cause everything's been done. You,
Touch on that.
you
Yeah.
just gotta,
Go
you
ahead.
know what I'm saying? I mean, I believe there's like 7 stories you could possibly tell. What was it? It was something like
Yeah.
that's like so many.
And they're all in the
It's
Bible.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I
A long
mean,
time ago.
But you know,
pretty,
it's like James Campbell said. Your version of the story has to be told.
right.
Your
I
version
mean,
has to be told.
exactly. How many movies are Moby Dick? Jaws, Alien. I mean, Predator. I mean,
Right.
it's all. I mean, yeah. Or Baby from Grendel. Same thing. Don't. It's the same. It's the same story.
Mhm.
The different characters, different angles.
Well, I always use this example, and this is actually one of the things I was going to mention before. It's great that you touched on that. Is another big egregious mistake is writing for the wrong reason. I'm writing to try to do something newer because I want it to be a Netflix story, or because I want to,
Right.
because I want to make a political point or whatever. Just write a good story. Not Don't write for all those reasons. Just write a good story that people want to enjoy. That's it. But yeah, if you think you're going to reinvent the wheel, you're wrong. It's not about reinventing the wheel. It's just writing interesting characters. For example, the old saying, "There's no bad characters, just bad writers." Look at what Jeff Johns did when he redid Aquaman. Aquaman was a
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
After Peter David did a wonderful, rest in peace. David did a wonderful job with Aquaman, and then he was irrelevant for a while, and he was a joke, right? He was on the seahorse, the cartoon. He was a joke. Here comes Jeff Johns, and what does he do? It's self-deprecating. The whole story is self-deprecating about how Aquaman was the joke of a hero all the time. And it was so well written. I think Jeff Johns is a very, very underrated writer in comics.
He's
I
good.
put him up
He's a
there
good
with
writer.
a lot of people. But it was so well written because of the self-deprecation, because of the poking fun at himself. And that, at the same time, it was a hero's journey because he was shedding the skin of being that joke with every issue and every story, while having the self-deprecating tale. And nobody reinvented the wheel there. It was Aquaman in the water fighting from the trench, or Ocean Master wanting to flood everybody again for the 80th time. But that's what made it relevant, because you actually felt for him. Because who hasn't felt like nobody's taking you serious? We all feel like at some point in our life people aren't taking us seriously, or they're not giving us our due, right? Who can't relate to that? So
I agree.
you don't have to reinvent anything. You're not going to come up with you may come up with something that's new and fresh. It's very rare. And if you do, God bless you, good for you. But the other thing is execution. Again, you could come up with something new, but if we don't give a shit about the characters, why do we care about the stakes?
Exactly. Like I said, just make it. It's all about story and just having characters that are compelling and putting them in certain situations. I mean, you can tell this. There's a billion alien invasion films, but I can name about 20 that I really like. You know what I'm saying? But same concept, but they just work because they're their own thing.
I agree, Phil. I think you also need to know why you're writing and be honest with yourself. If you're writing for the other reasons that you were saying, then make sure that's why you're writing. Don't get upset if other people all of a sudden don't like your stuff, because you already chose why you're writing.
Right.
You chose your audience. Because you got to choose your audience. You have to figure out why you're writing, and don't get upset if other people don't like what you're writing, because that's not the audience you were writing for.
Exactly. I
That's a
agree.
big mistake. And that's a big mistake some writers do. They worry about writing what other people will like. I've
Exactly.
said this before. I never understood it, and it clicked with me. When you would hear a writer say, "I don't write for the fans, I write for me," I used to think, wow, what a selfish, arrogant prick. That's not what they're saying. They love the fans and appreciate them. What they're saying is, I can't possibly please every person on this planet. And for me to start writing and worrying about, will someone like this, will someone hate this, you're no longer going to write a cohesive story, because you're stuck on that. And there's somebody still not going to like it, and somebody may like it, but you're not writing a story. If you just write what you love, the way you feel, hopefully people will enjoy it. But again, like you said, you'll get your demographic, because you can't please everybody. So
No,
you can't
you're
write
right.
for anybody else.
And you also got to understand the difference between criticism, like actual criticism, and people just not liking your stuff.
Right.
If somebody says it sucks, okay, well, tell me why it sucks. Give me a reason. I said, well, it's not developed. If they actually give me concrete reasons why, okay, maybe we're going to evaluate. But if you tell me it sucks because you just don't like the story, that's bullshit. I mean, it's whatever.
Well, what makes me laugh, good point, Charles, absolutely, right, what you like to read. What makes me laugh is when someone will say, it wasn't that good. And you're like, well, why? Well, I don't like sci-fi. Well, then what the why did you read it to begin with? And that doesn't mean it's not good. It just means it wasn't a genre you cared about. Like, can
Exactly.
we? You got to be objective. Like when Tragedy One, the original Tragedy One came out, I knew there was some art things I would have liked to change, color things. I went to Billy Tucci, who's a friend, and I was like, "Hey Billy, can you look at this and tell me what you think? Writing, art, everything." And he came to me and he said, "It looks great, but there's this, and this. And the reason why I think this, and this didn't work is this. And here's how I think you can fix it." Now, that was a person who wanted me to do well and was helping educate me. His critiques were sound. They weren't from a place of malice, jealousy, envy, or nonsense. They were to make the book better. And when I get critiques and feedbacks like that, I love it and I appreciate it and I will learn from it and grow from it. Chris Sotomayor is a major colorist in the industry. He colors tragedy. I'm learning from him all the time, and I'm grateful for his tutelage. Um, but again, I say take it from a grain, take it from the source. If someone's just like you said, it sucks. Why? It just sucked. Well, that's not credible enough for me. I'm not taking that. Tell me why something didn't work. Tell me your thoughts on how to fix it, and then I can accept that critique with great humility.
And when you're doing accepting those critiques, you have to realize that sometimes what's happening is that they may not like it for a specific reason. They might not like it because they think something else.
Right.
And they're going to tell you this, and you're like, well, that's not what I was trying to do. This is what I was trying to do.
A bear
Hey,
sighting. It's a bear
Hello.
sighting. What's up, bear?
Hello.
You know Ralph,
Oh.
right? I mean, you do. I don't know if you ever saw Christopher face to face, but I've talked to him on the phone a lot. Chris has a
Hello.
little boy Bowie, and he does independent movies. He makes movies, and he has that independent book. I really like that. I read that song. Anyway, um, sweetheart, tell them what they need to be doing right now.
Um, back Shaman.
there you
Say it
go.
again.
There you go.
Back Shaman.
You got a back shaman.
That's right. Back it.
That's right. There you go. I'm pimping out my kid.
How
Ow.
dare you?
Damn, that hurt.
How
No, that hurt my ribs. Anyway,
dare you like to do my
you hear how dare you use my cute, adorable innocence. I love you. Sleep well, sweet dreams. I love you well.
See, the Son of Saint
Alright,
says it
let's go.
there too. Same as being an artist, not everyone loves my style, but I love my style and it completes me. And that's
Yeah.
that's when you need to decide with your own writing. You're gonna
Sounds like he's got a
not
little
everybody's
romance
gonna
going on
like
with his art
this.
stuff.
Yeah, not everybody's gonna like this, but I like what I'm doing. As long as you like what you're doing,
Exactly.
it doesn't really matter.
And I agree. And to add to that, just keep writing. That's the. I mean, you can't just write one story and think that's it. You got to keep on writing, write different stuff, and that's the best way to do it. To know
Yep,
where you stand.
completely. And of course, if you're writing for an audience and you're writing for an audience, that has nothing to do with you. But then you got to know what you're writing for. If you're writing for an audience, you got to write a certain way. If you're writing for yourself, you got to write another way.
Exactly. I mean, let's be real. We're independent now, but if Marvel came knocking on doors, hey, we want you to write a 10-issue series of Spider-Man. Okay. You know what I'm saying? All right. What it's got to be this, that. All right, you got it. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
you
just the way
gotta
it
write
is.
what they want you to write.
So, yeah, I mean, that's just reality.
Yeah, that's right.
Now I'm
Gotta be-
tired and weary of the journey. I'd like to get to the destination.
I wish the journey would do that, but the journey never works with us.
Yeah,
Exactly.
really. The journey has too many trees that have fallen in the road.
Yes, sir.
But the craziest thing is with all this stuff, whether you're doing comics or movies, it's so unpredictable because you don't know what's gonna stick or land. You just don't. It's impossible.
And that's funny. That's funny too because like you see some things that stick and land, and you're like, how? I don't understand it at
Man, it's timing, man. Timing and I really believe it's all about timing and like just it's a generational thing. People just gravitate towards certain things.
I gotta say, Gary, I
Thank
was
you,
thinking
Gary.
the same thing. I'm like, do I buy the newsprint because I want it to smell like old comics?
all. By the way, I want to let everybody know Gary Girout. I met him 2 years ago, I think, at this point, and he was an inker, and he was raw. He was just starting out. Really, you could see a lot of potential. But Gary is a guy that will take critique like a champ, and he will improve upon it and work on it and work on it. And now I think he's a really, really good inker. And I have the great privilege of working with him. He's inked Tragedy. He's inked Diary of Dread. He's inking Papa chapters. And Gary is a great example. And I really think young upcoming artists and inkers should talk to a guy like Gary, because Gary has no ego. He put it all aside because he just wanted to be better at his craft.
That's awesome.
And I cannot say enough, sincerely, I mean what I'm saying. Gary is the epitome of a workhorse that just gets better and better and better because he wants to be, and he puts away all the garbage. It's not about you hurt my feelings or you didn't like this. It's okay, how do we get this to look great? How do I get it to where you don't have to tell me about this anymore?
But you know what? You know what's crazy? So I thought about this. I'll use a comic book for example. This is something else. Take the original Ninja Turtle comic book. The original one came out back in the day. That's a very rough book as far as the artwork and the story. I mean, can we all agree on that? But it's concept to the point where if that had came out now, or somebody came out right now with that book and put it on Instagram or Facebook, people shit on it. I think they would say, "Oh, the artwork is terrible. It's crap." It's weird how but that thing took off so well. So what does that tell you? Was it a timing thing, or it's just, I always say that's a good example. That even the Crow, the first Crow run, James Barr got better, but it was a little rough at first.
I agree. Speaking of the Crow, there was a scene in that book that I wish they didn't take out in the movie, that they added in the movie, where the thug gets the bottoms of his legs chopped off.
Yeah, I remember
against the wall. That's a great scene. James O'Barr has been noted as saying that he has PTSD, and it's and a lot of it is in there.
Oh yeah,
he's a very nice man. I don't know him well, but anytime I've interacted with him, he's just a sweetheart of a guy, and he's very down to earth, and one of the most iconic independent characters of all time.
Definitely, he became a very good artist too. By the way, he got way better.
Yeah,
and that's going to segue real quick back to distribution for a minute, because I'm going to say this. If you look at any of the independent books that I have in my distribution catalog and you think, well, I don't know that book, I don't think it's going to sell, blah, 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 you just remember, nobody knew who the Crow was, nobody knew who the Badger was, nobody knew who the Turtles were, nobody who knew who Nexus was, nobody who knew a lot of these independent guys, nobody who knew she was. Okay? You don't know what the next thing is going to be.
Nope.
And if you scoff or you overlook these guys, these publishers that are coming on board, you might be missing the boat. You don't know what's going to be the next big iconic indie character. It could be any one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And don't sleep on it, guys. I'm telling you, check these books out. Go to when I go to distribution, we launch. Tell your comic stores you want these books. Check them out. If you go to the website. As a matter of fact, I just got more graphics. We'll add it tonight and tomorrow. You can see on the homepage, as a public person, a consumer, you can see the books that we're offering. You won't see the retailer catalog because that has the retailer prices, but you will see what's available. So don't sleep on indie because you haven't heard of it before. Because guess what? Nobody heard of Batman before. At one point in life, you don't know. Jump on board. It's a small investment with a high reward possibility.
And there's a high reward possibility because a lot of the guys who make these books, once they make it, once they sell it, and the resale on some of this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a resale market for this stuff.
That secondary market will kick you in your teeth if you miss out.
Yeah, especially like a short print run.
They've done some indie books, and they're like, man, I wish I still had a copy of my own book.
I got a few of mine.
And that's the other thing. These are going to be short print runs because of that mentality that I don't know you, who cares? Look, all respect to Frank Miller and everything with his career and his resume. He deserves the legendary status. But people will continue to buy things that maybe aren't on his usual level because he's Frank Miller. But they won't give a chance on a book like Rabbit's Badass Song, or maybe Tragedy, or Homebrewed Comics, Chris Saloff, with Crit, or one of those books, Caspian, Porter, or Bigfoot Knows Karate, or Knuckle Supper Studio is a perfect example. Jason Meadows, who's a great letterer, a great guy I work with, he has an anthology series in the vein of Astro City where it's an anthology of heroes in this city, and the city is the theme, right?
Hmm.
And every issue he has is so cleverly written with an irony or a twist or something you don't see coming. And it's a really well written book. Every issue is really well written, and this dude cannot get traction. Nobody's like really giving it its due, and I think it's a shame. I mean, Astro City. Nobody knew what Astro City was at one point. They
I
picked
love
it up,
Astro
gave
City.
it a
Ooh,
chance.
that's good.
You know,
But Phil, I think another thing about it is we got to remember is back in the 90s and 80s, not a lot of people were making independent books either. Like, it was very hard to make an independent comic, because
It was. I believe
now-
they were trying to make them back then.
yeah. Now anybody can make one, so it's so flooded now. It's harder to get noticed. That's just the reality of it,
that's true. That's true.
So
Hey guys, what's going on? We're stuck at 4 backers, $142. Where are you peoples? Come on out here, get me funded. It's only a $500 goal. It's a good story, guys. I'm telling you. I don't know why you don't believe me. I'm not biased or anything. Nah, but come on, guys. I mean,
They're all
I have,
sleeping.
I have, and again, I mean this humbly, but I have major Marvel and DC writers saying that my writing is good. I don't know what else to tell you. Give it a shot.
Check it out.
I just
You don't have
I
to take
didn't
my
I
word
didn't
for
get
it.
to promote this because I was busy with distribution. But I mean, I know we'll fund, and the book is already done. But and I'm going to remind you, if you backed Papa, please, you could back Shaman. I promise you, Papa's coming. It's being produced soon. It might even show up around the same time, and you get a double feature. You get to enjoy. But
I don't know if you guys have seen this. Speaking of wordless comics, I ran into this guy on the show, and he has a fantastic book. Let me see. Can I put it into the private chat? Yeah, there it is. It's called Refuge, and he made the whole book silent.
oh, nice. I'll check
And
that
the
out.
art is amazing. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I wanted to show it to you guys because I know you guys love a
Just
good
do a
book.
shout out.
You gonna pull it up, Phil, or?
Refuge.
Hang on, I'm going
Okay.
to put it up on screen. Let's give this guy a shout out.
Oh, wait till you see this.
I don't know who this is, but
Okay.
Ben Fox comic.
I like the art.
Yeah, the art's amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, it's just breathtaking. And I feel like this adds to it because, it kind of gives you the sounds that you're reading through the book. And the way he letters the sounds in this.
Is he the artist as well?
Oh no, the artist, I think the artist is Brazilian.
Okay.
But again, it goes back to what we were saying about writing. He wrote this, no word, and now here it is with no words.
I can totally see that being like a Pixar animated type thing.
Oh, definitely.
Well, see, man, that's what I'm saying. Something like this deserves more, attention. And like, if this had came out in the '90s, this would have been like boom. It would have done well.
In the 90s?
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it's a shame. Like, I'll definitely share
Funny
this
that
out
you just
too.
brought up Bone because I was going to mention that. Listen, and maybe you call me crazy. I'm not reaching to prove a point, but just in the video with the kid, you feel his fear and his innocence at the same time.
That's
It makes you root
really
for the
good.
kid.
There was a. Do you guys remember the comic Hepcats?
Yeah.
Do you remember the one issue that dealt with SA? And that was probably it was no dialogue, but you knew everything was happening in it. Actually, well, I didn't get one Eisner Award for that issue. I'm not mistaken, but that was a good example of how you can tell so much without saying anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I love those silent issues.
Hey,
I love
Ralph,
this
do me
since
a
I saw
favor.
that
Drop
G.I.
this
Joe.
guy's
Say that again.
drop this guy's link in. Drop this guy's link in the chat for me.
Comments,
Oh,
yeah.
I can do that. Yeah,
No, that was out. That looked really good.
yeah, and he's having trouble too
I'm
because
backing it.
what day is he on? I think he's on yeah, I think he's on. What day is he on, Phil? Because he only has I think he only has 28
I'm in the
days.
middle of backing it. Hang on one second.
He funded, right? He's trying to get more.
No.
Right?
He's trying to fund.
Oh,
That's one of the reasons I'm helping him push this thing is because it's beautiful and it needs to be
Okay.
done. And I think he's
All
at
right,
a
let
down.
me see. Let me look.
And it kind of goes back to what Phil. is
Yeah,
saying.
I just backed it
Great
because I
stuff.
like it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I might check that one out too. But it's I don't know, man.
So
I feel like
man,
social media. What's his goal?
He's got 9 days to go, and he needs $3,000.
Damn.
Yeah, he was on the show. We
Yeah.
put this up there. It looks beautiful. Here's another one of those moments where you sit there and going, aren't people backing this? This is just beautiful.
I know.
It's a great comic. It's amazing. The art is beautiful. But you can feel the energy in the video.
You know what I've started to realize, because like as far as the crowdfunding thing goes, it's went through some changes over the years, right?
Yeah.
Back in like mid 2000, not mid 2000, like early like 2010 and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like the true indie books had more of a chance, but then like you had the big like now Marvel's doing not Marvel, but you got like I don't know, like what's Robert Kirkman's company, Skybound? They're doing Kickstarters, and Mark Silvestri is doing Kickstarters and stuff, and then like a lot of the more risque books are doing or kind of took over.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is I don't think the audience for that kind of book is there. There's an audience for it, but I don't think that's the place to get it, if that makes sense. I think there has to be another way to start exposing these books to people who are going to give it a chance. Because there's no reason that book right there should not have made at least $5,000.
It should have.
For what it is. I mean, there's people I know who would buy that book. So.
I completely
And I
agree.
know how we can help them. Philbo distribution.
Yeah, hey, no joke, you're right. I think, because, man, a lot of these books that failed on Kickstarter, I guarantee you, if they was sitting on a shelf in the store, they'd probably get picked up.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
If somebody will open that book right there and look inside, they fall in love with it right away.
And you guys know.
Go ahead.
I said, you guys know that the people who buy comics at an LCS is different than Kickstarter people.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, just it is it. I'm not saying a derogatory term. I'm just saying that's just the reality of it.
Well, I've said before, I think Kickstarter is more of a collector's market. They like covers, NSFW, graded books. They like coins and metal covers and foils and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a collector's market, a demographic, than it is a reader. Now, there are readers, but I think it's more collectors at this point of comics than readers. It's just my opinion.
I agree.
And I think the numbers reflect that. And can you also drop Shaman's link in there, boss?
I was looking for that right now too.
Thank you. I can put it in private chat if you need.
But no, I really like that book. Looked really good, man. I'm gonna check it out when we get off.
It's funny.
Of here.
It reminds me of Where the Wild Things Are and Bone.
Yeah, like I said, it definitely has like that.
I agree.
That surreal. No, like, it's kind of like for kids, but it's kind of surreal at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a long way to go. It's tough. And the other thing is marketing. It's tough in Kickstarter because the algorithms bury you unless you're already making a lot of money. So it's kind
Right.
of, it's like, it's tough. So it's very hard. And has anybody noticed project signups are harder now than ever? Like I used to be able to get 150 signups easily on a, now I'm like struggling to get 50, 60, 70. But
I'm telling you, man, it's so many people doing it now. I mean, I go Kickstarter right now, probably like 100 comics on there right now trying to get fun. I mean, it's just I don't know.
Victor Medina, I'm glad you're feeling better, my friend. Victor is a really great guy, a family man, artist, colorist. He's phenomenal talent. he did a cover for that Spawn challenge that, in my opinion, should have won hands down.
Oh, I don't want to talk about that no more.
Yeah.
No, but
that was
I know, but Victor's cover, it should be a Spawn cover,
yeah.
hands down. And Victor did the interiors for Madcaps #2, published by Philbo Publishing, written and created
Nice.
by Ray Jameson, DM Ray. And I believe he's going to be on 3. I would hope so. I'd really be upset if he wasn't. He did a wonderful job. He's great to work with, extreme talent, and he has a show. Victor, if you'd like to drop links or anything to your show or anything you're doing, please feel free. Same
And
with
Vic,
you,
when
Angel.
you're feeling better, come on the show.
Yeah, so very, 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 very happy to be working with Victor. I mean, from a distance because I'm the publisher, you know.
Right. But Phil, I gotta say, man, I think you're really on to something with the newsprint. I think that's gonna make a resurgence. Because again, I think for independents to make it now, yeah, the gloss is cool and everything, but if we're just wanting books to actually read the books and get engaged with the story, I think we got to cut back the cost some kind of way. And that's a good way to do it. I mean, it's just again, like $3,000 to produce a book is a lot. You know what I'm saying?
The only problem with newsprint is then you have plate change fees now.
Right,
so
right,
you
right.
know, you got to get back to just one cover then, which maybe that's a good thing or not, getting rid of variants. But you know, plate changes are $50 a plate change. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I mean, cause I think about like the cost versus how much you're putting into these things. Because again, if you spend like about $5,000 to $10,000 on a book, you're trying to make double or triple your amount money back to even make a profit, and that's hard. That's hard to do. You know, especially if it's an ongoing series, you really that's a high hill to climb. Because you know, how you gonna make this money every month?
Dude,
hey man, what's going on?
The more I'm sitting there going, how do you guys do this? You know, how do you get all this money together? You know, with life the way it is, how do you get all this money together to get this book to where it needs to go? How do you get it done? And I get to sympathize more with people when now that I'm looking at Hugbert and going, I don't understand how you guys are putting these books together, putting them out there, and dude, just getting them done. Forget about making money off of them.
Yeah. Oh, I know that. Yeah, I mean, when I did the Rabbit thing, I was just in a decent position. I could do it at the time, you know, without crowdfunding and stuff. But yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a lot. Especially you start getting like doing copyrights and trademarks, and it's a nightmare. It's you know, like feels about the artist. When you find a good artist, that's a marriage, man. You got to hold on to them because
treat them right.
Yeah.
What's up, Dante? So, Dante, speaking of writing, I have so many stories I want to tell, and I just don't have time to write them. And it's hard for me to let go and just hand over a concept to another writer.
Oh, that's difficult.
Yeah.
Dante is the very first person I've ever done this with. I gave him 2 of my horror shorts, they're a full-length comic, but you know how I do my horror anthology.
Yeah.
I gave him 2 horror stories that I would have liked to have written myself, but I don't have time. So I gave him the concepts, and he's going to be writing them. And when we launch Diary of Dread as individual anthology issues in distribution next year, Dante will be credited as the writer for those 2 stories and anything else he does. And I may start looking at other writers as well to write a few of my other stories, horror anthology, because I just don't have time.
Yeah, dude, I told you before, your Diary of Dread, that out of all your stuff, that'd be the easiest to adapt into like a film.
I would love to. Everybody loves 39 Cedar Lane, man.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that. I mean, people are telling me, yo, this was friggin' so good. And I appreciate that. I mean, when you had the storyboard artist for Creep Show, the TV show, tell you the book was good.
Oh, yeah.
I can see that as a Creep Show short.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah, like that. You know, like most of the stories in there, they wouldn't cost that much to make either. You know, you don't have so it could easily be done.
Yeah, well, someday, man, you and me.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. Indie films.
Marvel's making comics for an audience that doesn't exist. I think many indies are making comics more for hopes of a Netflix project. I agree with that.
He's right. No, he's actually right.
I
So
agree with that.
The Marvel's actually admitted to this. Marvel and DC have actually admitted to this. They don't really give a shit about the comics.
yeah, dude, if Marvel and DC stopped making comics right now, they'd be fine. They never have to make comic ever again. They can reprint to the end of time, and they got all the other stuff. They got toys and TV shows and T-shirts. They don't need the money. I honestly think the only reason they make comics is to keep the IP, so they keep renewing the trademark.
That they don't give any fucks about the comics, and that's what
No.
they are where they are.
Well, and Riddler, I agree 1,000%, and I think the problem with Western comics is twofold. They alienated the longtime readers that do have the they're the ones with the expendable cash.
Mm-hmm.
The 40, 50-year-olds are the ones with cash. And while they were alienating those loyal readers, they weren't bringing on enough new readers. And they thought the movies would do that. And they thought all these gimmicks would do that. And they're not bringing in the readers. And you know why I think they're not bringing in new readers? But manga is? They don't want to take any risks whatsoever. That's why they regurgitate shit. That's why they keep the same storylines. They play it safe. And they don't... I mean, manga. I use this example all the time. Chainsaw Man. His face is a freaking chainsaw. If you pitch that to a Western publisher, they'd laugh in your face and say, "Get the fuck out of here."
I think it's cool, though. I like that. I like the chainsaw.
People want something fresh and new and different.
I agree, but you also have that audience out there that they see Chainsaw Man and go, "This is ridiculous. How is this realistic? This is
know what
realistic."
though?
Right.
But it's so successful at this point. I think it's okay.
But the answer is other question about the people writing stories for Netflix. Yeah, I noticed for a fact because back when before I did Rabbit, I was trying to find an artist. This had to be like 2015, 2016. I went to a comic convention. Everybody asked me, the first thing I asked, can it be made into a show? Like it's like, oh, what? Yeah, I guess. But, so yeah, that's a thing. And that's because of Walking Dead. Walking Dead did so well. Everybody thought they could, oh shit, we need to make a damn comic that can be turned to a show for AMC and stuff.
Walking Dead did not sell a lot of copies, and neither did Invincible.
No, not to the show. The show did. What again? That was a timing thing. Zombie thing was hot, and we never had a zombie show, and that it just worked. So
it was the one time where it actually went backwards because the show made the comic sell.
Yeah, dude, that comic goes like Walking Dead 1 goes like several thousand. You couldn't get rid of the thing back in the day. I remember seeing it. I didn't pick it up. I messed up. So it just you just never know. But yeah, I mean, far as the main one, DC's doing okay. DC they got the Absolute line, which is pretty much their Ultimates line, which is not bad. Absolute Batman is not a bad book. To be honest with you,
I don't like the art in it.
It's stylized.
Yeah. I feel like Marvel and DC, that's what they should have been doing this whole time. But every time that line or that separate line starts to do well, they're like, let's put it in with the regular line. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Leave them by themselves. Leave them doing their own thing. That way that audience can learn to love Marvel and DC in their own way.
But they do it. Marvel and DC always does this dance. Like they'll do it like DC will have like a good successful year, then they start to suck. The Marvel they keep on going back and forth. And I think because they switch the writers, a lot of the good writers keep on going back and forth between them.
That's because they don't believe in the old days where you had somebody like Chris Claremont who was on for ages.
No, that's over.
They don't want DC and Marvel don't want.
But it's more than that though.
Yeah.
They don't want the superstar no more.
Yeah.
It's more than that though. Yeah, I think unfortunately Image unintentionally made Marvel and DC scared. They don't want you to be following a book because of the artist or writer. But it's more than that because it wasn't just that Claremont got 17 years in X-Men, he was a great writer. Look who they paired him with artist-wise.
Oh yeah.
John Cockrum, Byrne,
yep.
Freaking Silvestri, Jim Lee.
Great partners.
I mean, they gave you the team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe I'll give you an example. You look at Scott Snyder and he's with Capullo. There's the team.
Yeah,
and people love them because great artist, great writer, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But how often are you seeing that anymore? One is suffering. Either the writing is good and the art is or vice versa, or they're both
Or they keep changing the team.
That's your editor, man. That's your editors.
Team the team.
But I don't think editors actually do editing anymore. I think they're just schedule keepers and
Yeah.
getting on your ass to get things done. And I don't know if
Man.
they have the same role that they used to have.
But I'm saying, but yeah, thing though, like back in like the day, and again, I keep on saying the 80s, 90s, Marvel and DC was just a different company then. Like they were about, okay, we got to sell some comics this month, write a good story. You know, now it's become so corporate.
Movie.
Yeah, it's so corporate driven. It's just like that's just done. I don't think they could go back to that at this point. You know, I don't know, man. It's just different now.
Well,
with
when
Marvel.
you talk to people, like when I talk to Howard Mackey, he tells me stories about being in the bullpen with Jim Shooter, and then I think there's a couple of things, right? And I'm speaking from an outsider because obviously I never worked in there, so I don't want to make it look like I know from the inside. But just hearing stories from people in the industry, one, there's no bullpen anymore. You know, they're hiring artists overseas, so it's very cold, very distant. These guys, even though they'll tell you Jim Shooter was a hard ass, they said he still cared about comics. Like he had the business mentality, but he cared about the characters. And I used to hear funny stories from them being in the bullpen and hanging out together and busting each other's chops. They were big kids who understood that it was a business, but still enjoyed being big kids while they were doing the business. They cared about this stuff. They cared about the characters, and they cared about the lore and the mythology, and they just genuinely loved to create comics. And this was when they were looked down upon. Anybody outside of the comic community would look at Chris Claremont. Oh, he's not a real writer. He writes comics.
Yeah.
But obviously he can write. He writes prose books. They didn't get respect as true creators.
No.
Artists were mocked and made fun of. They had a passion and a fandom for it like we do, while understanding it's a business, which is a great mix. And that showed in the comics.
You know,
now they don't have a bullpen. There's no camaraderie. They're not buddies. They're not men and women getting together, joking around, horsing around, and getting to enjoy it. It's not that anymore.
No.
But I tell you another problem with Marvel specifically. One of the downfalls of them is back in the day, right? They just made stories. If a character connected with people, or Wolverine, for example, he was just unknown, but people like, okay, we'll give Wolverine's own book.
Again, I agree with the Riddler.
They were actually just like, they would let the fans dictate what was hot. Now they don't do that. They've tried. How many times they tried to force feed us Kamala Khan? Kamala Khan has been canceled like 5 times, and now they retcon her to the X-Men timeline. Come on, like,
dude, that goes back. Right?
What in the world?
I'm happy you mentioned that. That goes back to them and their business dealings, because because she's supposed to be a mutant, and what happened was that they didn't want to give Fox anything new, so then X-Men suffered. All that stuff suffered. Because she was supposed to be a mutant originally. She wasn't supposed to be an Inhuman.
Inhuman, right.
She was supposed to be a mutant. So they're retro-conning things now. Because now that they have all the rights, they're like, oh, we can go back to what we were supposed to be doing.
Right. But she's an okay character. But but she's not selling out. Her book never sold. Like saying there Captain Marvel. When Carol Danvers was Miss Marvel back in the day, that worked. When this new Carol, nobody's buying that stuff. They keep on making this character nobody wants, and I just don't understand why they're trying to make something work when it doesn't.
Well,
and my favorite thing is then they go, why aren't you buying this book? You guys are racist. You guys are sexist. You guys
take the Kamala or Kamala. I don't know how
you're
you pronounce it.
You're not writing for me. This is not
exactly.
For me. Why do you want me to buy it if it's not for me? And you said it's not for me, so why should I be buying this book?
Right, and like Marvel has a lot of characters of color that they don't use. Night Thrasher. Why the hell doesn't Night Thrasher have his own book? He's one of the dopest street level characters they have. They haven't done nothing with this guy
at all.
Or how about this? Sorry, how about this? Falcon. He's been around how long? And he's an interesting character. He worked with Captain America for years, and instead, they didn't feel that he could handle his own book or lead a book or be interesting, so they had to steal the mythos of Captain America to make him relevant. And I think that's a shame, because he stands on his own as a character.
Yeah, he doesn't work. I never bought him as Captain America. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't. That doesn't work. Number one, he have a superhero serum. He can't. He's very limited in that. And Bucky worked when he was Captain America, but it's Steve Rogers. I honestly would have rather seen Captain Carter than Falcon movie.
Yeah, I agree. And
that would be cool.
I can see
and getting
that,
back to the Inhumans and everything, that was another example, bringing up Ralph's topic, because they didn't want to make the X-Men shine for Fox.
Hmm.
They tried to replace mutants with the Inhumans and
Yeah, I
make
remember
them
that.
new,
Yeah.
and it failed miserably.
Yep.
It failed miserably. And then
They,
when they tried to turn the X-Men into the versions of the movies and the books, that failed miserably. What are you doing? Look, if you want to change them for the movies, whatever. But you got to keep it pure in the comics at least. You've got to give the fans their pure form of the characters somewhere. If you
right.
take it all away altogether, you lost us.
Yep.
You know, and I'm nervous, man. When they do this reboot of the X-Men for the MCU, I'm just nervous who they're going to cast as these characters. You know, because I'm just, you know, you heard the rumors, so like, oh man.
Yeah, listen, I'm. It's like I said at the beginning of this launch. You know, Shaman is a young black man in Alabama. Not because I said I have to check this box. I need a black
Right,
character. I need diversity.
Because it
It
makes sense.
was
right,
it just made sense to be down south because of the
Hmm.
religious aspect and using
Yep.
his powers to heal,
Hmm.
which then said, well, he's a Baptist in Alabama. You know what? It makes sense to be a black family. You know, it just made sense for the sake of the story. But to sit there and think, I can't imagine sitting there and going, oh, I got to make this character Chinese because I haven't checked off that box yet, or
yeah,
I got to write a story and I got to tailor the story to their ethnicity. That's a crime to story writing. We need to enjoy and embrace cultures, and writing about other cultures is wonderful and it's
Yeah.
enriching. Giant Size X-Men is a perfect example. They never, ever, ever marketed that book as, oh, look, we got a German, a Russian, an African, and
right,
a
right,
North
yeah,
Indian. It was all new team, and you just enjoyed the characters, their different personalities, their cultures were addressed, but in a way that supported the character's personality and upbringing and how they interacted. It wasn't about their cultures and diversity. That's not the
Who they
selling
were. Yeah.
point.
Hmm.
right.
And they don't get that anymore. And a lot of people that'll fight with you go, well, you obviously never watched the X-Men. It was about racial blah, blah. Actually, Stan Lee says it was not. It became that by the fans. But even still, there's a difference between using a social setting as a backdrop and letting the reader enjoy a story, and using a social setting as a pulpit.
Yeah. There's two different things.
I agree.
And
When
what
when
they
you know
did.
what a writer thinks
Yeah.
about any political or social topic, that writer failed you.
Because what they did with X-Men and stuff like that, because it was about all those social injustices, but you had a major story happening, and that
And it
major
didn't tell you what to
story
think
was
about it.
happening with the social and all that stuff in the thing, which made it a stronger story. It
I
wasn't
mean,
that you start with the thing and then because you can write like that, but it won't be what you're looking for.
Exactly.
I mean,
X-Men did everything.
Yeah.
why would you pick up Shaman, for example, to hear me tell you through a story what I think about, I don't know, the pharmaceutical industry or Mexican cartels, and I go on a pulpit, or immigration? Why the hell do you want to read about that? Who gives a shit what I think? You just want to be entertained. Again, the backdrop, because it makes sense, is the pharmaceutical companies losing money. It's not a commentary on pharmaceutical companies. It just made sense for the story. It's not the backdrop is the Mexican cartel because it made sense. How is the pharmaceutical company going to get this kid eliminated with assassins?
Yep.
Well, Mexican cartel, drug cartels, they deal with fentanyl and OxyContin and stuff. It just made sense. That was it. It's a
Stuff that's already
backdrop.
happening. Yeah. It's not
I agree.
about that, which is what we're saying. The story isn't about that. That's part of the story.
These characters are not simply interchangeable. Everyone cannot just be any character. They aren't just a pair of long johns or a shield or whatever. Ditching the integrity of the character is unacceptable always. I agree.
But
It's
that's what
like,
corporate thinks.
right, well, they think everybody's a cosplay, right?
Yeah.
You can be whatever the hell you want. And I understand that you're going to suspend some disbelief when you read comics, but these are established characters of 30, 40, 50 years, and all of a sudden they're bisexual or they're gay.
Right.
Just create a gay character.
Yeah.
When they made North Star gay. First of all, it made sense based on his personality, but
Yeah.
they didn't make it the focal point of his
No, it wasn't.
character back
Mm-mm.
then.
No.
It just happened to be, hey,
It's like,
this
oh,
is
North
who he
Star
is.
just happens to be gay.
Yeah, I mean, because okay, gay people exist, but
Exactly.
I know plenty of gay people. They don't go around all day telling me, "Did you know I'm gay? Did you know I see it this way because I'm gay? Did you know I'm gay? Did you know I have a gay partner? Did you know I was gay?" They're just people living their lives, and their
Yep.
sexuality is their business. And it's not that we don't want to know that you're gay. It's okay, but is that how you define yourself? Your whole entire being is because you're gay? Is my whole entire being because I'm a white Irish guy? No. There's
Because
depth
it
to
should
us.
be, I'm a soldier and I happen to be gay. I'm a cop and I happen to be gay. It's not I'm gay and I'm a cop.
It's just like just tell the story, story
Yeah,
development,
exactly.
and the character's the character, and
And
that's all that matters.
again, it's fine if you write gay characters. It's fine
Yeah,
if you write characters of other if it fits and makes sense to the
to the
story.
story.
But if you're writing the story just to fit that in, what are you doing?
Like two of the dopest characters is what was it from the not Stormwatch? Oh, what,
Oh,
Apollo, Midnighter.
no,
Yeah,
Authority.
yeah.
Authority.
Yeah, Authority. There you go.
Authority.
Apollo
That's-
and
See,
Midnighter.
They're awesome.
They did really
Those-
great. Yeah.
I watch a whole series with just them two. Like they're badass.
It is lazy and it's failing miserably.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's the corporate way of getting that audience. Again, they want this audience. They're not writing towards us. They're writing towards somebody else. So then they get upset because this audience won't read that, and I'm like, but you didn't write it for me.
Well, like I went into a comic store today and there was a Batman issue and it had a cover of Robin, who was never gay or bisexual, but he's in a. It's obviously a gay romance with the person on the cover.
hmm
I opened the book and I was looking at the book, and there was nothing to do with Robin, nothing to do with a gay relationship, nothing in there. It was because it was Pride Month. They put the cover on there.
Yeah. Mhm.
Now again, I'm not knocking Pride Month. I'm not knocking gay people, but you put that cover on there because that was just corporate. That was just virtue signaling. Do
And I have a
do
couple
they
of gay
really give a
friends
shit
that
about
say
gay
the
people? Or
same
they're just
thing.
trying to get a gay person to pick up that book. It's just stupid.
I have a couple of gay friends that say the same thing. They've said that they've taken corporations have taken Pride and made it something they can sell to now. So now all these corporations are doing all these things for Pride Month.
Here's another thing. People will disagree with me, and I respect that. You can, but I Bishop is one of my favorite characters. Okay, um, and I I don't need Bishop to have white characters in it to relate to it because it's not his ethnicity that I would be relating to. It's his humanity.
Right.
So I never understand when someone says we need more black representation for kids or we need blah blah blah. I'm not saying don't have black heroes, of course, but why can't you relate to a book just because they're of a different ethnicity? If we're all humans, Chris is black, you're Latino, I'm white, and I guarantee you, all three of us have so much in common as far as we just want to have happy lives, be good fathers, good husbands.
Yeah.
We want to be able to put food on our table. We want to feel relevant, like we matter, and we want to know that this life is for something. It's for some reason, right?
Like dude, yeah, like dude.
And that's all I need to relate to with you. I don't give a shit what color you are.
My all-time favorite superhero is Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man, Peter Parker. You know what I'm saying? And I relate to Peter Parker. Oh yeah, he's like the guy in school, did science projects. You know what I'm saying? He's just a normal guy.
Exactly.
And I like that. I love Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, Black Panther's cool. He's okay and stuff, but it's always been Spider-Man. That's been my guy.
Same here. Spider-Man when I was a kid, and the good thing was that while I was reading comics, Spider-Man grew up with me. I was a kid. I was
Right.
in high school. I was a young adult. I was in college. So and he the whole time that I was moving forward, Spidey was moving forward. So it made me feel like, oh, here's somebody who represents me because this guy is similar to me because he was
Right.
living this life. He was a nerd. He was in school. He went to college. He's trying to make his life now in his 20s. That's why I got so upset when they decided, oh, we're gonna go bring him back to high school. I'm like, dude, in the original run, he was in high school for 2 years.
Yeah, he's out.
and he was out. We've grown up with Spidey after high school, you know.
The
So
problem with
yeah,
Spider-Man is they don't know what to do with him, and I'll tell you why. As he got older, if he was to finally get his life together, you lost what you related to him with, per se, for younger readers. But the older readers are still going along for the journey with him. And they want newer readers.
yeah.
This is why they refuse to have him marry Mary Jane and stay married, because he's no longer that character the younger audience can relate to. But he is the audience that we can relate to because we finally grew up and got our shit together. But
Right.
we're not the
I love that the
future.
new Ultimates kind of proves that we want to see him married.
Agreed, but we're not the future. Us old people to them are
Oh,
not
we're
the
not.
future.
But
We
look,
die off.
But I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this about Spider-Man. I'll tell you how he's the staying power this guy got. Like little boy, okay, love Spider-Man. Like I say, Spider go pew 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 pew. Like I mean, again, he never read Spider-Man book in his life, but he's seen the cartoon in the movies. But Spider-Man just has a great character design. Like you can't beat that costume.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the store and we went to the little action figure section. Show him Captain America. No. Black Panther? No. Iron Man? No. Spider-Man? Yeah. He wanted Spider-Man. So he works. Like, kids now like him. It's just, I guess you kind of have to let age him back for them. But I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to say. But the IP itself will always be around. So
definitely.
Yeah, I just don't think they know what to do. Again, after 2,000 plus issues and how many series and how many miniseries, how much can you write about somebody? Like, I'll give you an example. When I heard about Superior Spider-Man, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I thought it was the dumbest thing I ever heard. Doc Ock, brain transplant.
Yeah, that was
and
wild.
then I read it, and I was like, oh, this was good.
Yeah.
I read it, and it was good. And
Yeah.
it was new, and it was fresh, and it was different.
Yeah.
The only thing that I took issue with is that Peter is also really smart, and how come he couldn't keep that company after he got back the body?
Exactly.
Like, they how did he
Yeah.
and lose the company? Like,
But you know
he's
why?
a genius.
Because they want Peter to be downtrodden. They want Peter to be beaten
But the
down.
problem is,
They
how
want-
long can you be downtrodden? You're in your 30s now. He's in his 40s now. I mean, you got to get your shit together at some point. You know,
They like
you get
when
stuck
Peter
in
is
limbo
miserable.
there.
Marvel likes when Peter is miserable, and that's why they always make him miserable.
But here's the thing: you can have miserable moments and still get your life together. I mean, he doesn't have to be a fucking failure. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree.
He throws enough shit at you as it is.
They're struggling with Spider-Man right now. I mean, Venom. They seem like he's taking kind of priority over Spider-Man as far as Marvel's concerned.
Well, Donny Cates did a great job
Yeah.
in something new and original with him.
Right. I mean,
And teamed up with Ryan Stegman, who's a great artist.
as far as Marvel now, I think the best thing I've read recently is the Immortal Hulk. That seems like to be one of the few
I
things
haven't read
that
that yet. I heard it was great.
It's wild. It's a wild read, dude. It's definitely. I don't see Disney making that into a movie. You know what I'm saying? Because it'd be a straight up horror movie. But no, that's definitely one of the better stories. But Hulk always had good stories. Like Planet Hulk, War Hulk. Those are classics now, man.
The other thing is the Hulk is
Yeah,
also someone I
bad.
don't know if they know what to do with anymore because, you can write yourself into two dimensions, right? They do it with Superman, they do it with the Hulk because they're so powerful that they write them into like a two-dimensional box, so to speak. And there's layers to these guys that you could get into that they haven't.
Well, Immortal Hulk did that. That's what I said. Check it out, man. Because it's like several Hulks and it's just.
I heard it's more horror than anything.
It is, and then it's to the point where I don't know. I think the Hulk gets pissed at Bruce Banner, so every time he turns the Hulk, it makes it very painful for him.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah, every time. Yeah, it's wild, man. It's a wild concept.
Here's a good example. Remember the Hulk, the end?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Hulk was the last living being on Earth, and these giant cockroaches kept swarming him and eating him down to the bone.
Yeah.
And he would regenerate and suffer that pain each time. And Banner kept trying to kill himself, but the Hulk wouldn't let him. His subconscious is the Hulk. Every time he jumped off a cliff, he'd change into the Hulk to survive because the Hulk's like, you're not killing me too. That is some clever shit.
Yeah.
It is really intricate, and it touches, without being preachy, on everybody's moment in life of weakness where like I just don't want to be here anymore. It's too painful, but you stay anyway.
Yeah, like I said again, like the one I was saying about it talks about that. Cause I mean, Hulk, he can't die. You know, no matter how you like, he's here.
And here's the thing, I always relate to the Hulk, but I want to be Superman, and I love both those heroes for the different reasons.
Right.
And I absolutely love them. But when I hear people say how Superman will wipe the floor with the Hulk all the time, I'm like, does anybody understand? Doomsday is fashioned after the Hulk, except instead of the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets, he adapts.
Yep.
The Hulk just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger
Right.
until you can't stop him.
It's
like, stop selling him short, man. He's the
Yeah.
freaking Hulk.
It'd be an interesting fight, but it depends on what Hulk we're talking about, what Superman we're talking about.
That's
Now, if we're talking about like was it a million one Superman? What's his name?
I hate all these variants.
It gets crazy. It gets crazy. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I think World Breaker Hulk is my favorite. He was no joke.
Well, you know what was a shame with that? I remember loving World War Hulk, and he lost his love, who was pregnant, and that's
Yeah.
what set him off to go back
Right.
to revenge. Right after World War Hulk was over, or Planet Hulk and the World War Hulk, it's like Jeff Loeb just forgot all about that and let it go. Like he wasn't angry about this woman being gone anymore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
That's what they do. That's what they
And
do.
one of the best scenes in that was two great scenes where Medusa's there and he shows up at the moon and Black Bolt she's like, Black Bolt beat you once before, and the Hulk goes, I want to hear you scream, and he just fucks him up.
Yeah.
And the other one is where Doctor Strange is trying to manipulate Banner to not turn into the Hulk, and Banner grabs his hand like pretending to be falling for it, and then he crushes Doctor Strange's hand so he can't create magic. It was just, and then he kicked the shit out of everybody.
Do you remember the Ghost Rider one? When Ghost Rider came up to him, that was funny as hell. Cause Ghost
I remember
Rider,
that.
he drove up to him and said, "Oh, no, you instant brother spill. It was you." He drove away like he didn't like he realized like he was wrong.
Justified. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it was funniest shit in the world. Like, it's just you tell me big epic battles. No, he drove off. Oh, it's a whole supernatural explain what this.
True.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is true. It gets deep, man. You got like the Devil Hulk, and it gets wild. It gets
really wild.
yeah. But no, World War Hulk was the shit, man. Like the fight between him and Central was pretty good, dope too. Again, no dialogue, just some panels of them just like pounding each other. That's pretty epic. That's why I was so mad with the movies, man. How they did Hulk, man. Like, I did my boy wrong in this.
You know what kills me? In the first Avengers movie, we got the Hulk we wanted. That was the Hulk. Yes.
He was. I like Edward Norton's Hulk. Be honest with you.
What's that?
I like Edward Norton's Hulk. I thought he was a really good Hulk.
I don't like. I didn't care. I didn't think Edward Norton was anything special. Although I don't think Ruffalo is the proper Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
But I did like that movie. I was disappointed in the fight with the Abomination, but I did like that movie.
But that was some BS when he fought Thanos and got it. I said that's bullshit. Like
He was scared.
that fight would not have went down. Cause remember in the actual book, Thanos even said like that was probably one of the most like his worthy opponents was the Hulk.
Well, the thing is, if you notice, the power gem glows on his glove when they do the fight.
Yeah.
He was using the power gem, he was cheating. But even with the power gem, the Hulk would be a fight for him.
Right.
That's the problem. Do you remember Marvel Team Up or 2-in-1 number 11 or so 15, where they're all in the ring fighting the champion who has the Power Stone?
Yeah, I remember that book.
The Hulk gets in the ring and he's ready to fight, and you're like, oh, this is great. But the Hulk ripped the gloves off and lost his mind and got pissed that he got disqualified. We're like, no, I want to see this fight, man. Yeah,
Oh, man.
I know.
But yeah, this is scared thing. That's bullshit. Hulk doesn't scare anything. Like that bothered me. I rather Thanos had to use the gem to like make sure he couldn't turn into Hulk. That would have made more sense to me or something. But
I agree.
Hulk scared really? Like
Yeah, he should use the reality gem to say you stay Banner all the time.
or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just didn't like that, man. Like
There's other ways to write that story because he could have done that. Could have just used one of the gems to make sure that he couldn't turn into the Hulk, and then you can do that whole storyline with I'm trying to turn into the Hulk, but I can't.
right? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ways they could have done.
You know what
it.
I was hoping for? the redemption arc at the. I was hoping that Hulk finally changes and he's like, now I'm pissed, and he goes and fucking kicks
Well, that
the shit out of Thanos.
that's when they gave him the glove to snap. That was the way of doing it. He was the one to snap the glove. I mean, it was BS, but
Well,
it is what it is.
Paying homage to one of the best covers I've ever seen, the Hulk holding the mountain up in the Secret Wars.
Oh yeah, I should have that book.
Yeah, and it says Hulk is holding 100 tons, and he's not happy, all right, or something like that. And he saved all their lives being pissed off and holding them up. And they tried to pay an homage where he was holding up that whole facility to show his strength with one arm. But it fell on deaf ears because he was such a pussy prior to that. And then you made him this smart Hulk, and he was a geek. But it all started with Avengers 2 and Ultron, where he fights Tony.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that fight lasts 30 seconds. It's bullshit.
Hey, there's no different in the Red Hulk fighting on Falcon. That shouldn't have been a fight.
Oh my god.
I don't care if you had a vibranium suit or no, you're dead. You're dead, man.
In seconds. Yeah, that was terrible. But, again, it's the other thing I think that goes wrong with comics and writing is, we talk about agendas. There's an agenda that goes on that people don't think about. Writers come in and they write the character how they think that character should be.
Right.
Instead of what the character is. I hate to tell you, I can't go in there and write who I think Nightcrawler is. He is, who he's been over years. Now, if you want to make subtle changes, it needs to be a natural progression over the story events. Like Chris Claremont, 17 years had the X-Men. Storm evolved greatly.
Definitely.
Cyclops evolved greatly.
Definitely.
Because of the trial and errors and the things they went through. So those changes made sense, but they were still who they were at the core of their being.
Now, the exception with that, and again, I get tired of people talking about Rob Liefeld made Deadpool. Yeah, he may design the character, but we know who actually made Deadpool with the chimichanga and all that third person. It wasn't him.
No, it wasn't him.
Yeah, but you want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
I'm going to defend Rob. I liked Rob's Deadpool better. Do you know why?
Really? Wow.
You want to know why?
What's that?
Do you know why Deadpool talked so much and he was the merc with a mouth while he fought you, based on Rob Liefeld's reasoning?
No, what's that?
To distract you. You were so focused on his talking and engaging him there that you weren't fully in the fight, and that's how he took you out. And that's what he says in X-Force. And that's what Rob made him. So I personally, I'm not a fourth wall kind of guy. We had She-Hulk for that. That he's
and
crazy,
She-Hulk did
he's
it first.
lunatic.
Yeah.
That is true.
I liked the cold, calculated Deadpool that was purposely trying to distract you with his mouth. I personally like Liefeld's version best. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not knocking Deadpool. He's been so successful. Did a great job, but I do. I liked that reasoning.
Yeah, I can respect that.
To me, it made him nasty. It made him such a threat and dangerous because he was smart and calculated, not just relying on his nut healing factor.
Now, I do give Rob Liefeld props for Cable. I like Cable a lot, too. Cable is a dope character.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
James Gunn does it. By the way, talking about writing, I'm going to go to Ralph with this first because of our kindred Superman thing. Are you looking forward to this new movie? Are you indifferent, or are you worried about it?
Definitely. I'm not worried at all about it. I'm looking forward to it. From all the little bits and pieces I saw, this Superman looks more akin to Christopher Reeve Superman than he does anything else. He still looks like the Superman that gives you hope, which is what he's supposed to be, and I like where Gunn is going with this. It looks like a good direction.
I was very happy with it.
I can look for.
I was very happy with it until I saw footage that I was told was true of Crypto, like stomping on him and beating him up while he's hurt, like because of dog joke. For me, if Gunn can keep the humor toned down, I believe he will do the Superman that we want. But if he goes too over the top with the humor, it's just going to be Thor Ragnarok all over again.
I didn't mind Thor Ragnarok. It's a comic book.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm more, as far as what I see in Superman, I think he's going to do a good job with it.
I agree.
I'm more curious what this world is going to, what this DCU universe is going to be. That's what I want to know. What does Batman look like in this thing? What does the Flash look like in
I
Wonder
also
Woman?
like the fact that Gunn is throwing all this stuff into the Superman movie because other people are upset about it because it's supposed to be a Superman movie. But no, we're coming in to the Superman movie 3 years into, because that's what I heard.
Yeah.
It's going to be 3 years into him being Superman. So of course he knows the other heroes. Of course he has relationship with the other heroes. The world is more fleshed out, and all this makes sense the way Gunn's doing it. And Gunn said the same thing. You got all these interactions, you got all these things. It's like when you were a kid, you read a comic book, and people would jump into your favorite comic book because they were running through or something was happening. I used to love all that stuff.
No, and I agree. I think that was the thing with DC and the Marvel, right? When the MCU came out, that they pretty much went from the ground up with Iron Man and stuff. DC made a mistake when they did the Snyderverse thing, trying to do the same thing with Bat. They should have just had them be superheroes just already established. We just kind of like see what they're going through, And again, like the Dark Superman, that didn't work. That's why I'm seeing this one. I will say this: if this doesn't work out, we'll never get a good Superman movie.
No.
I'll be honest with you.
I agree.
Now I like Zack Snyder. He did great movies. 300. No, I did. I like 300. I like all that stuff. But hear me out. But I didn't like his Superman because it was too dark. It was too. His Batman was fine. His Wonder Woman was fine in Justice League. I was okay with that. But his Superman, he just wasn't in touch with the character, and I'm tired of the angry Superman. It's played out.
Yeah.
Now, people are gonna laugh at me, and that's fine. The Snyder Cut was the more interesting Justice League movie, except for the third act, and I'll tell you why. Superman not only maims Beowulf or whatever Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf, yeah.
He throws him at Wonder Woman to chop his head off, and he's okay with it. He's fine. He's standing there looking at Darkseid like, yeah, we just killed him, bitch. So what? Superman wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. But when we had Joss Whedon's Superman, he was Superman. He came in, inspired, and saved them without having to go to that tactic.
Yeah.
Now, if you took the Snyder Cut and then just replaced it with the what's his name's from Buffy, his
Joss Whedon.
Whedon's Superman at the end, I think that would have been a superior movie. I wish we could have got Henry Cavill in this James Gunn movie.
I do like Henry Cavill.
Cavill was a
He's
good
a great
Superman,
Yeah.
and he was a very good underrated Clark Kent. He just didn't get enough Kent time.
Exactly.
But he was too dark and brooding. We wanted to see this Superman. I wanted to see this Superman. So I love Man of Steel. I love that movie. I think it's enjoyable. It had its flaws, but I think it gets undue shit on. But I'm really looking forward to James Gunn's more humble pie Superman.
Yeah.
I want that again.
I agree.
We need that. We love Captain America.
Yeah.
Because that's
a grenade.
Oh yeah. But that's what's gonna make it work though. If you gotta have like a very upbeat, very colorful Superman movie, and have a very dark, gritty Batman movie.
Yeah.
Because in your mind, how are these guys gonna interact with each other? That's because like with the Zack Snyder, he did a good job with Batman in the Batman vs Superman movie.
Yep.
If you could have had that, but had a very lighthearted Henry Cavill Superman movie, that would have been a wild cop. That'd have been something to look forward to. But
contrast would have worked.
Yeah, everybody's all dark and brute and messed up. Like, come on, man. Like, what is this?
Batman. I'm Superman.
Yeah. And like, look, everything was like Metropolis was depressing, and Gotham was depressing. Like, man, what is this? Like,
Metropolis is supposed to be a very bright.
Yeah, like so.
It's
Again,
Gotham's antithesis.
Yeah, my thing going to Superman movie, like I like what I seen. I just want to know what this iteration of DCU is going to be. That's all.
Dude, I gotta say, James Fillion, Guy Gardner.
Yeah, I mean it works, right? It works for him.
I love it.
Everybody's he looks stupid. He's supposed to look stupid. I mean, come on, Guy Gardner, like
Guy was a stupid superhero, man. My favorite thing from that whole run was when Batman cold knocked him in the face.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a dumb haircut, though.
Oh my God, that's the haircut he had. Yeah.
And I heard that those characters aren't really in it that much. And I agree with you, Ralph. he needs to build a world quickly. He needs to
Yeah.
get people interested in the DC universe.
Yeah,
And there's no
we're
better way
there.
than to introduce a few characters, as long as they don't take over.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I mean, but I think what hurt them is when they put Black Adam through and Cavill stepped in at the end of that fucking movie. Everybody was like, "Oh shit, that's awesome," and then you just drop it.
Yeah.
That was a big mistake.
That movie was a mess, man. Black Adam was like, what? I mean, it was so basic, like just some, you know.
I agree, but it kind of like, but again, that last 2 minute interaction made people want to see more. I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
you wanted to see Black Adam fight Superman.
But dude, that Flash movie was the nail in the coffin for the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
That movie was. I mean,
you know what?
Keaton couldn't save it.
Gunn knew it, but he had to release it because it was already, the money.
Yeah, I mean, that was bad. Like, I was like, wow.
The
I
best
didn't.
thing about that movie was Keaton.
Yeah, he couldn't make it work. I mean, yeah, it was cool seeing him again, but
And you know what's funny? I never cared for Keaton as Batman at all. I'm one of the people.
I miss nostalgia for me.
I didn't think those movies were great, but I liked him as Batman in that Flash movie. I was sold on that Batman.
Yep.
Even like the Nolan verse. I mean, yeah. I mean, Heath Ledger's Joker was awesome, but I mean, I actually out of all three, I like Batman Begins the best as an overall movie.
Okay.
As an overall movie,
I hate that Batman. I hate the Batman from Nolan's verse.
yeah. No, I said, well, as far as like that was if the thing about it, that if they had did the DC universe then, that was a good setup for it because you had you could have went with it, but. By the time when we got to the Dark Knight with Joe, we knew where it was going. Okay, this is gonna be a totally like very grounded reality. Again, like Heath Ledger's performance is awesome. If you take Heath Ledger's Joker out of that movie, it's not a very good. It's a boring movie to me.
No.
Let's be real. Let's be real about this. Then we got the third one, and that was whatever. So
Batman Begins,
The third
excellent
Batman
movie.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Batman Begins, excellent movie, but the
Yeah.
choreography and the fights, the cut scenes for the fighting was terrible.
well, Nolan, he's never been good at doing fight scenes in movies. But dude,
Dark Knight Returns is quite possibly tied for me with Civil War as the best superhero movie ever made.
do you really think? I mean,
Dark Knight Rises, fucking trash.
Yeah.
That movie was so bad.
dude, Affleck's the best Batman so far. I argue anybody.
I
that.
agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
I didn't think I was gonna like Affleck as Batman, but then I saw him as Batman.
I
He
don't
was
think he. I
he
think,
was Batman.
believe it or not, though, I think Christian Bale is the best Bruce Wayne, but I think Ben Affleck was the best Batman.
I'll give you that. Christian Bale was a great Bruce Wayne. He sucked as Batman. Affleck, well, I think he was pretty much even across the board. And I know some people say, well, I don't do that. Yeah, Batman and Bruce Wayne, two different characters, dude. Like they are.
And I loved the Frank Miller homage to Dark Knight costume. That's the best Batman
dude,
costume.
there was elements of Batman vs Superman that was amazing. But it just didn't. Overall, it was just too much, man. The Doomsday shit in it, and like it was a mess.
It was too much in one movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mess. Like,
And Lex Luthor wasn't really Lex Luthor. He was whatever that loser was. And Martha, where did you get that name?
there was a good Batman movie in that movie. I'll say that. That's all I can say about Batman vs Superman. Again, like the Nolan trilogy, I know why people like it. Again, Dark Knight was okay. If Joker made that, I'll tell you. I went back and watched it about a month ago.
Oh yeah, that movie's all about the Joker.
Yeah, it's kind of a boring movie. It does. I mean, outside of the Joker stuff and Batman and right Joker, it does. It's okay.
There's one major plot hole in that movie.
What's that?
Remember when the Joker crashes the party
Yeah.
and they'll go through the window?
Uh huh.
Where the fuck did the Joker go? All of a sudden he's left there and they did cut away from it, went to a new scene. It's like,
I mean, he's got away. I don't know. I guess he had a.
he was still there. He was still
I mean,
on the table.
I think he ran away though. I think he's movie magic. I don't know.
But Heath Ledger he did a great job for that Joker. He wasn't the Joker, but he did a great job for that Joker.
That's another thing. What Heath Ledger did a good job for that Joker, but that Joker also made all these other Jokers like. We got all the weird Jokers. Everybody after him had to do this weird artsy Joker. We can't just have a regular Joker.
Who's the most comic accurate Joker of all time? And you're gonna laugh at me. Cesar Romero.
Romero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they made him sadistic, he would have been the best Joker. Now,
My thing is,
the second best Joker was on the Gotham TV show. That kid.
yeah,
my
he
God,
was all right.
good.
We just need we need the Mark Hamill Batman animated series Joker. We just need. That's all we need. Yeah.
The best Joker.
Because if you go back to the books, right, the Killing Joke, that was to me that was the definitive Joker because he was he was still Joker, but he was creepy, right? Like
crazy and insane.
But for now, and now he has to be the deformed guy. He's the weird guy that cuts his face, he got tattoos, and he's just weird to be weird. He can't stop, and just make him a guy with bleached skin.
Because writers don't know how to make him creepy without trying to make him over the top.
Well, Scott Snyder you can kind of blame him too. He kind of went out there because his Death of the Family one was okay, but Joe cut his face off and stitched it back on. Then he was like the pale man. Like it got too much. They're trying to do way too much with the Joker. He's just a crazy guy.
You know who doesn't get good credit for a good Joker scene? There was Kevin Smith did a story called Cacophony.
Didn't see that one.
Oh, you got to pick up this book, Batman vs. So he captures the Joker, and the Joker's on medications that are making him lucid. And he's in the room, Batman talking with the Joker, and Batman's like, now that he's not crazy, maybe we can reason with him. And the Joker's like, you think it's because I'm crazy I hate you? No, I want you dead. I fucking hate you. I want you to die. It has nothing to do with being lucid or crazy. It was a good scene. Kevin Smith wrote it, and I think he's underrated. People shit on him. I loved his Daredevil run. I loved Quiver with...
the Devil was all right.
But go check out, it's Batman Cacophony.
Okay, I'll check it out.
I thought Kevin Smith did a really good Joker storyline, Batman story in that. I really liked that scene with him. It was really good. And it gets no love.
But again, far as the greatest villains, Joker is definitely in the top 5 greatest villains of all comic book villains. I just think he's been overused lately a lot, and they're doing too much with this guy.
This Joker, that Joker, Joker, 3 Jokers.
Joke, When he's just an agent of chaos trying to torment Batman, he works the best. Anything outside of that, it doesn't work for him.
And it goes back to what we said. They're writing for the wrong reason. They were writing to top him. Like, we got to make him even more crazy. He's like, no, he was crazy enough.
And that Harley Quinn, he does not. That's some bullshit. He does not love Harley Quinn. Let's stop trying to make him do some lovers. No, you know what I'm saying? He's very abusive.
One of the most toxic relationships.
Did they not remember the animated series? Like, as kids, we were exposed to domestic violence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all that was.
Harley Quinn gay with Poison Ivy anyway, so it's.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I can see that.
That's actually a better relationship.
Yeah,
relationship
I can see
Joker
that.
And Harley.
But no, Joker doesn't love anybody. I mean, I honestly feel maybe he secretly loves Batman. I've always kind of thought that.
I think Lego Batman did it the best.
Yeah, I truly believe he's deeply
that relationship.
Yeah, he's that would make sense. You know what I'm saying? But outside, I don't think Joker loves anybody except Batman. Yeah, so.
Hey, I understand having a Joker obsessed with you. With your Batman and trying to come after you all the time. I understand it.
Yeah, because that's why Batman can never kill. Once Batman kills, Joker wins. Like it doesn't work.
But then what's Batman without the Joker?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, because Batman could easily. I mean, because as bad as Joker is, if I was Batman, I would have to break my kill rule and kill him. But you had to kill him. Like
here's the story nobody ever talks about. Don't you think Batman's a little fucking crazy? I mean, look.
He is.
His life.
He saw his parents get killed. No, he's the day Bruce Wayne died. The day his parents got killed.
But my point is, you could really explore that more, and they never do. But anyway,
that's because they don't do it now. Because before they used to do that. Before they get into that whole psyche of
his obsession, his
because
all right, I don't kill people, but I'll break their arms.
Batman is the real character. Bruce Wayne is the mask. Yeah, right. That's always been it. That's why it's. But
which
they got
the opposite, which is why Superman works so well, is because Clark Kent is Superman, is who he is.
Right, exactly.
The mask.
Exactly. It's the perfect thing.
Someone wrote a fan story about Bruce Wayne and Batman years ago, and it was brilliant. And obviously, DC can't use it, but all this stuff you had read wound up being in his imagination.
Oh, the insane asylum.
He's crazy in a rubber room. Bruce Wayne,
yes,
his parents dying and everything. It was very interesting. Now, unfortunately, we've been on for 2.5.
Yeah, been on for a minute.
We had a good time, man.
Oh
But
yeah, talk comic stuff.
before
All
we
right,
go,
go
I
back to
want to.
Shaman. Go back to
Yeah,
Shaman.
go back to Shaman.
Yeah. No, no, I had fun with this, and you know, I don't want to bore people just pushing my books all day, but I'm gonna push my book. So, guys, if you like heroes, if you like people to root for, if you like characters that the stakes matter, if you like action and adventure, but you also love the exposition part of things where you invested in the people and the characters involved. If you like crazy sadistic villains that are just off the wall, Ricardo is the assassin, the major assassin in this, and he's Joker crazy. Like he's really crazy. I mean, he literally takes out a rocket launcher in the middle of an alleyway. I mean, he's just nuts. Um, if you want a good chase story, you know, this is an on the run chase story with superpowers, violence, action, and drama. This is for you. I'm telling you. Don't skip, guys. Come on, get me to 500.
At least it looks like you're moving.
It's
Maybe
moving.
slow moving. Here we go. It looks like you're moving.
It's moving.
And shout out to yes, the mist and the fog is moving. Shout out to Andy Lee. Let's do this for the trailer. Thank you, always doing great work. Logo designed by Rob Powers. I am blessed and lucky to work with great teams on these books. There's 2 covers. There's the story. You can go read it. Read the synopsis. There's the Ruli Akbar cover, which I love, and of course my man Keith Williams. I love that guy. Another great cover. Here are some interiors. You can take samples of my writing, see what you think. Okay, and this is book 1 of 5 books, and which was originally going to be a graphic novel. Don't sleep on this, guys. I really think you're going to enjoy this. I do. I think I'm very proud of this book, and I ask you to check it out. So you got the $8 digital copy, you got a $10 newsprint, $15 digital print, $15 digital print with Keith Williams, sketch covers if you're an artist, $20 newsprint duo, Shaman and Papa, possibly my 2 favorite stories that I've written. Possibly. Triple threat, you get all 3 covers. Newsprint pack, you get all 5 of these books in newsprint, and you're gonna love it. All in. You get the 3 Shaman covers, Dynamics and Papa. It's a family-friendly batch of books that you can all check out. And add-ons, you got Papa by itself, the Dynamics by itself, Withered by itself, Arcane Syndicate by itself, and look at that handsome man. I had more chins back then. But it is what it is.
Little
There's
baby
Fabio.
face.
There's George. Ruli never gave me his bio, so tough shit. We had to launch. And there you go, guys. We're at $183 of 500. I just want to get the goal and get the book out there and in your hands. So the book is done. It is done, and it is ready to go to print as soon as Kickstarter's over and I get the money. And Papa is Alex has 6 pages left to pencil. Gary is following behind with inks, and I think he's only like 2 pages behind. And the colorist literally will color the book in like 5 days. And the letterer, George, will letter the book in probably 2 days. So within the month, Papa should be done. And I want to give a shout out to George. Um, real quick. So for those of you, what the hell happened? There we go. For those of you who don't know, or you do know because you heard it, I wrote Papa with no agenda in mind. It's just a story that came to mind. And as I wrote it, I gave the script to my dad, and who was never a comic book fan, but he wound up liking my scripts, and he read it, and he said, "Is this about you and me?" And I was like, I never thought about that. Holy shit! I guess in a way there is some of us in there. So my father was like, "Is there any way you can?" My father was diagnosed with cancer, and he was like, "Is there any way you can get this book in print before I die? I would love to see it." And I was like, "I'll try, but it's gonna cost like 15 grand. I'll do my best." And my dad was like, "Don't you dare take out a loan. Don't you work extra jobs. Don't you do any of that shit just to get me that book, okay? I don't want you killing yourself. You enjoy your life, but if you can, that'd be great." My dad started doing well with the treatment, but unfortunately, a new tumor grew in 5 weeks,
Wow.
and it took him out. And this was a man that at 77 years old was bench pressing 165 pounds a day. My father was a scary beast his whole life. He scared all my friends. Do you know Tony from Tragedy? He's based on a real life friend of mine who is like 6'6" and 380 pounds and lives a few blocks from me. And growing up, my father scared the shit out of him. Okay? God's honest truth. So, unfortunately, my dad passed too fast, and I didn't get the book out. So I decided I'm going to release it in chapters, and that's what we did with Papa. And I wanted it to be a graphic novel because the pacing of Papa, the first book, is more exposition than anything.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone says the writing is great, and the story is fantastic. And I just wanted to get the book out there. And I didn't care about what money it made as long as I made enough to make the book. Now, I'm going to let you know this. Shaman and Papa. Can't hear me?
I hear you now.
Fine.
Oh. If both these books were meant to be graphic novels, 5-chapter graphic novels, 110 pages, if by some miracle Shaman reaches the level I need to make the entire graphic novel, if Papa's second campaign reaches the level of money I need to make the entire graphic novel,
Get the whole book.
I will give you the whole book.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever you pledged. If you pledged $15 on the single issue, but we raised $13,000 for that $15, you'll get the entire graphic novel.
Yep.
I don't care. I believe in my writing and my stories, and everybody who reads my stuff and takes a shot tells me they love it, and they seem sincere. They really love it. So I don't know what holds people back from giving it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but if enough people tell you something's good, give it a damn shot, because I think it's good. Anyway.
It's funny that you're saying all that, Phil, because Refuge, the book, the thing we showed before, he was going to make a graphic novel, but he said it was just going to cost too much, and he had to break it down into chapters.
And I pledged on that book, and I want to see it succeed. It's going to be a shame if it doesn't. It's shame. We're really in a world of branding more than quality entertainment.
We are.
I really believe that. It's why people will spend $500 on crappy 30-second head sketches from people, but won't spend $15 on a quality book. It's warped. People have always been that way. I've never understood it. And I may sound bitter, and you may think I'm a hater. I'm not. I want to see everybody succeed, but I just wish there was enough to go around for everybody. Like people would give these things a shot. Enjoy your $400 6-year-old sketch, but also spend $10 on a book. Like that guy that we put up before. So anyway, before we go, thanks guys for coming out. We had a good time talking. I had a blast.
It was for fun.
Ralph, tell us where we can find you, what you're up to, etc.
So if you guys want to do more of this writing stuff like we've been doing here on the show, Phil, I put a link into the private chat because I've been on Vocal, and what I've been doing with Vocal is I've been doing this whole writing thing where you guys come along with me on this journey to become better writers, which is exactly what the Written Writ's about. It's the whole show
What is
where
that
we do
music?
this whole.
Sorry, hang on, Ralph. We can't
My
hear you.
phone,
What is that?
I'm trying to cut it off. My phone was
Oh, okay.
on.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ralph.
I'm trying to fight with. Sorry.
Oh, no, don't worry. You get all that panic. That has happened to me a bunch of times on my show. So I have done this whole thing where you and you take a journey together to become better writers, which is what the Written Writ was when it started. It still is. It's still all about the creative process. It's all about doing what we all need to do. So I took all that stuff and I started doing all these little bits and pieces on Vocal. And on Vocal, you can go check it out. It's some of my personal written stuff and a lot of this stuff where we become better writers together. And every time you read it, I get some money. So, if you want to help me out, it's free because you read, I get money.
There you go.
And of course, on Mondays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you got Apple Bites. And we do all the geekery. And of course, the Written Writ is on Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Check us out. If you want to come on and show your wares, look at my wares. You can do that too.
Awesome. Did Phil freeze on us? Oh, there you go.
I thought we lost Phil too.
I know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If I do anything, it just cuts out. And Chris, tell us about Mimi and me and what you're doing and where to find you and stuff like that.
Yeah. So we're working on this film. It inspired. I'm a '80s baby, so I love practical effects and like the little monster genre, like critters and gremlins and ghoulies. So we made our own
effects.
Oh yeah, they're making a comeback. They're making a comeback now, and I was able to do. That's something I do is practical like prosthetics and puppets and stuff. So we decided to make this little movie, and inspired by those things called Mimi and Friends, about this lady who lives in her apartment with these four little weird little monsters and all kinds of crazy stuff happens. So we're just about wrapped up finishing it. We did a Kickstarter Indiegogo, which all got funded. So thank everybody who backed us on that. Nice. Hopefully the movie will be ready by October. We're planning once it's done, we're gonna obviously there's Blu-rays get put out and stuff. We're gonna do like a limited theatrical run, and I'm hoping to get it put on a streaming network.
Have you started putting it into the awards shows?
Well, we're still editing it. We're not done with it yet. We're still trying to finish it.
You need to get it into those award shows.
There's a couple. Yeah, I got some buddies who went that circuit who did pretty well, so we're going to definitely do that too. But speaking of good feedback, you can find me on pretty much everything. I'm primarily now I'm on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok is Christopher J. Elston, and I believe my IG is Christopher Jamal Elston, but you can find me on there.
And Chris, when you're ready, come on Bitten Apple TV.
Very cool.
Either show.
Heck yeah, definitely.
Talk about it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to start doing. I mean, dude, the thing is, like last year,
I know.
Like, I was doing a lot of stuff online, but I just only put so much of me in a day, So I can't. Literally, I go to work, come home, do the family stuff, then I'm doing this stuff back here to like 1, 2 o'clock. Yeah, I don't.
Juggling, man.
I don't get a lot of sleep, so but it's working out. I got to do it. Cause if I don't, it'll never get done.
What's this thing called sleep?
Yeah, I don't know. Something some people get. Maybe I'll get it one day when I'm dead. When I'm dead.
Exactly.
I manage though. But that's about. I'm working on my next thing, which will be another practical effects stop motion thing. But so far, people seem to like it. It's I've been putting on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok. People seem to resonate with it. So, a lot. I mean, it's been doing better than the comic book stuff for me. So, we'll see what happens.
That says a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And speaking of comic book stuff, I just want to remind you also, Vanilla Land issue 1, 36-page manga comic is live right now on the Kickstarter on the Philbo page. We have $564 of $1,000 goal, 13 backers, 22 days to go. Can you guys get us to $436 to get over the top? Here's the trailer.
ワン、ツー、スリーで追い出していこう。勝負は誰だ、いこう。勝負は誰だ。彼が求めたのは、あの子が流したのは、君が嘆いたのは他ならぬ今日だ。誰が隠したような、僕らがなくしたような、何事もない日々を取り戻せそうだ。そうまではラスト。
I don't know why I
Really
like
nice.
this song.
Yeah.
I like the cell animation look
We
of
got
it.
two
Yeah.
covers. Right, exactly. I think it's a great looking book, and it's Western style, so you can read it left to right. Because I get screwed up otherwise. These are the two covers that we have, and I mean, like, look at this panel here where he's taking off the mask. It looks like it's popping right off an anime, you know.
Yep.
It's wild, crazy manga, but with action and fantasy and powers. This guy creates this Ray Cat. Um, it's action packed. It's got romance. It's fun. It's a typical manga story, just done a little more of a Western style. I mean, look at that. What are you waiting for, guys? Back it. You got the rewards
Back
here,
it
and
now.
he's also got interactive rewards. He's even got interactive rewards where you can be like, it's based on a world that uses spices and food for energy, and you can. Bad guys have what they call their appetizers, which they're like weapon, and he can create you with your own appetizer / weapon.
Ooh,
So that's pretty
That's
cool.
unique.
I like that.
Yeah.
Create
Something
your recipe.
new. You can also make yourself. You can also make yourself into a chibi. So
You have
it's
some
some
nice
cool
tears.
stuff, guys.
These
Yeah,
are some nice
and
tears.
it's him and his wife, Sarah Victor and Andrew Henry, the two of them together, and their cats, Mammy and Robin and Rosa, and there's that handsome motherfucker again.
I know that cat.
And then of course we got Light Warriors coming soon, Apollo coming soon, Night issue 7 coming soon. Man, Philbo is just rolling along. So come
It's on
support.
fire.
Come,
Heck yeah.
yeah.
Hey Phil,
But
tell
we
them to
need
hit,
you to. We need you.
Phil, tell them to hit me up, so they can come on the show.
He's in Egypt, so I don't know how
I'm
the time
gonna have to
frames
play
work.
that juggling game. Okay.
Yeah.
Are these the
Well,
links in the comments right here for your shows? What is this?
I'm gonna put in the
Criticon.
private chat. Can you drop the link to
Okay.
Vanilla Land for me? And Ralph, that latest link you put, I dropped it in, but it only shows up on my YouTube channel. It won't show up on the Facebook, and I get more viewers on Facebook. So
No,
if you
don't
want to
worry,
put,
I'll drop it in over here.
yeah, put all of those links in on that side.
Hey, Ralph, we followed you over on Facebook, don't we?
Yeah. You've been on the show.
Yeah, I know. It's just trying to remember. My brain's going.
Don't worry about it. It's funny because Phil introduced us. I was like, wait a minute, I know him.
I did too. It took me a minute, man. It's like,
See, so it wasn't just you. It took me a minute too.
yeah. But yeah, we'll get together, man, about some stuff.
You
So
can't miss
anybody,
me. I'm everywhere.
I don't know how familiar you guys are with how I end my shows, but anybody want to assist? You guys don't
Wanna do it,
remember
Chris?
how I end my shows, do you?
I can't remember, dude. I'm sorry, Phil.
What do I always tell you?
Oh, be legendary. Be legendary,
All
right?
right, and then what do I
And-
say it?
Have fun storming the castle.
Right.
There you
So we're gonna do it one more time, and
Here we
you're
go.
gonna do it with feeling. Go ahead, Chris.
Be legendary
And
and storm the castle.
Get out of here. You do be legendary, and Ralph does the other part. You
Yeah,
ready?
that's not what we're doing. Okay,
here we
one
go.
last
Right.
time.
Go ahead, Chris. Do your part.
And be legendary.
And have fun storming the castle.
There we go.
Yeah.